What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 2PR. Chapter 26. Network Jump, Jingle Chunshui Lost. Seeking Data. Pediatrics Only, Hiroko Shinji. Aizen's calm appearance made Hiroko Shinji's heart tense, and cold sweat broke out involuntarily from his cheeks. Dominate the five senses. Caressing is nothing more than dominating vision. In other words, the strength is completely crushed. Hiroko suddenly realized that the attack on Aizen just now was just acting. Give yourself hope before you kill it. Murderous heart ah. The video playback ends here. Hiroko has Bankai's reverse evil 8 treasure plug, but he didn't release it in the battle. When releasing Bankai, Hiroko will stand on a pedestal in the shape of Natashiko's flower. The ability is to reverse all, regardless of enemy or friend except himself. Invert everyone's perception of enemy and companion within the range, causing them to kill each other. It belongs to the hypnosis ability of the spiritual system. Even with such a powerful Bankai, there are obvious side effects. Even with the partners around, they will kill each other. Bankai has many restrictions, and must play its best role in extremely unique conditions, such as being alone in the enemy camp. However, in the face of Aizen who uses 5 senses to fight, the evil 8 treasure plug is also ineffective. Outside the video, Urahara Kazuki swallowed deeply. Aizen's attack on Soul Society was obviously fused with Hogyoku, so calm in Hiroko's perversion space. Even became the dominant party. As the developer, Urahara Kazuki naturally knows the power contained in Hogyoku. He also knew in his heart that this was just the tip of the iceberg of what Hogyoku was showing. Seraiti. At first, the captains thought that Hiroko's nerve-dominating Zanpakuto would pose a threat to Aizen, but they were instantly killed. Captain Aizen, is this the power you combined with Hogyoku, but please don't do anything that hurts the Soul Society again, okay? Team 5, Hinamori made a fist with intertwined fingers, placed it on his chin and prayed to the sky. It was as if he had completely forgotten about the knife that stabbed Aizen when she defected. I don't know if she saw the battle behind Karakura Town. The captains fought against Aizen together after being hit by Kyoka Suigetsu, and if she stabbed the person in the end, would she choose to believe in Aizen? Hiroko Shinji has been completely abused. Aizen's combat power ranking can at least enter the top 10. For the Juban team, Tōshirō knew in his heart that not only Shinji Hiroko, but also the other captains had almost no chance of winning against Aizen. Only Captain Yamamoto Genryuzai has the chance to compete with him. Or the captains of Team 0. Visored. Idiot, you lost even without releasing Bankai. Hiyori yelled at Hiroko with his hands on his waist. She also hadn't seen what Hiroko's Bankai looked like. Not to mention her, but no one else knows except Hiroko herself. Aizen is so strong, I use Bankai and he still restrains me. Moreover, my Bankai release conditions are limited. Hiroko grumbled. With Hiroko's inventory finished, the next inventory began on the big screen. 42nd place in the combat power list, Robert Ajutran. Name: Robert Ajutran. Force: Invisible Empire. Identity: Destroyer. Ability: Holy Text N Network Jump. Attack: 83. Defense: 79. Speed: 85. Intelligence: 84. Vitality: 81. Reiatsu: 83. Combat power: 400,000. Record: Robert Ajutran vs Jingle Chunshui. Win: Robert Ajutran vs Byakuya Kuchiki. Lose. 400,000 combat power. Numeric properties are also very comprehensive. But it turned out that this guy was another Quincy. From the record point of view, he won the battle against Jingle Chunshui, but lost in the battle against Byakuya Kuchiki. Doesn't this mean that Byakuya Kuchiki is better than Jingle Chunshui? The 8th team, the 3rd seat, Enjoji Chenfang, was very surprised. Although he has not been in the 8th team for a long time, he is also clear. Jingle Chunshui is a veteran captain. Although he usually plays a fool, he is very strong and can't hide his secrets. I don't see the captain show his strength on weekdays, but he should be stronger than Captain Kuchiki. Enjoji Tatsubo raised his braid and threw it back. Yeah, I lost to the Quincy. Jingle Chunshui crossed Erlang's legs, as if he didn't care at all. Team 13, Jashiro's face was full of concerns. Jingle Chunshui is indeed frivolous, and it is his character that he is not good at fighting, but no one knows his absolute insight better than Jashiro. If it is really defeated by the Quincy Master, then this Quincy Master definitely has a strong ability of holy words. Present world. Captain Kuchiki is so strong. You defeated an opponent that Captain Jingle hadn't defeated. Renji was very excited. Although Byakuya Kuchiki had some resentment towards Rukia at the beginning, but he respected Byakuya from the bottom of his heart. Except for the defensive power, the other values are over 80. There is no doubt about his ability. Even if he is defeated, I will save the field. Kurosaki Ichigo said confidently. An opponent that even Captain Jingle can't beat, you will die if you go. Renji didn't save Ichigo any face. Robert Ajutran's attribute panel disappears, followed by the playback screen. Boom. In Seraiti, the Quincy division attacked in a big way, forming 16 Reiatsu pillars. Shinigami's Reiatsu are gradually disappearing. Jingle Chunshui was fighting an old-looking Quincy with short white hair and square-rimmed glasses. Absorbing Bankai. With Captain Nirvana's ability, as long as the information is sufficient, it should only take a day to draw a rough conclusion. Jingle holds Zanpakuto Kaden Kyokutsu. But the information is too little, it is pitiful. In this way, Jingle believes that it is unknown when the abilities of the Quincy will be known, and they are not opponents that can be defeated without Bankai, so sacrifices are inevitable, and someone will inevitably be sacrificed. By the time he was facing Robert, he could already feel that Shinigami's Reiatsu was dwindling. However, Quincy's Reiatsu didn't decrease but increased. But Robert didn't pay any attention to it, and directly launched the flying scythe and came in an instant, and the pistol he was holding had already reached Jingle Chunshui's forehead. Chapter 27. Sir, times have changed. Yamamoto held an emergency meeting, seeking data. The flying scythe kick was too fast, and he didn't react until the muzzle of the gun reached Jingle Chunshui's forehead. Quickly swung his head to the side. Boom! A spirit beam shot out from Robert's muzzle. Fortunately, the shot missed, otherwise Jingle Chunshui's head would explode. Nanao outside the video was covered in cold sweat. Now she doesn't know the relationship between herself and Jingle. Although she usually likes to pour cold water on Jingle, she admires him very much in her heart. If something went wrong just now, the captain must burp. In the team building of the first team, in the pavilion. Chunshui, so you were defeated because of this reason. Yamamoto Motoyanagi narrowed his eyes slightly, of course not looking down on Robert. The speed of the flying sickle just now was indeed extremely fast, but Jingle Chunshui also reacted. In the end, Jingle Chunshui lost, it must be because Bankai could not be released. Captain Jingle seems to be deliberately not using Bankai. It seems that in the battle with Quincy, we already know this ability of the other party. Shojiro Sasaki said. Of course I know, after all, I traded your life for it. At first they got the information that the Quincy could seal Bankai, but they didn't expect to plunder Bankai directly. If Rangaku hadn't used Bakuto to send messages to the captains, it is estimated that the rest of the captains would not be spared either. Yamamoto nodded. This kid, doesn't he even use Shikai? Jingle Bankai will indeed have an impact on those around him, and he will never release it unless he has to. In the face of the Quincy, he will not take the initiative to release Bankai. But not even Shikai, that's going too far. Return to the screen. The spiritual bullet grazed Jingle's bamboo hat, but did not hurt Jingle Chunshui. At the same time, Jingle Chunshui swung Zanpakuto to counterattack. God's step. Robert disappeared under Jingle Chunshui's attack, causing Chunshui's attack to fail. At the same time Kaden Kyokutsu's blade hit the floor, Robert had already entered the Holy Communion. Similar to other Quincy's perfect bodies, it has a photon ring on its head with a five-sided star, and a pair of floating spiriton wings on its back. However, the shape of the wings is petite and more flexible. At this moment, Jingle Chunshui swung his arms and turned around, wanting to pursue him. But as soon as he turned around, he saw Robert, who had completed the Eucharist, pointing a pistol at himself. Boom! The gunshots were fired, and a lot of blood was spattered on the ground. The spirit bullet shot through Jingle Chunshui's right eye and half of his right ear. Yeah, even though I'm calm, I'm still shaken inside. It's really nerve-wracking. The pain made Jingle's face pale, and cold sweat oozes from his face. The video playback ends here. The defeat of Jingle Chunshui undoubtedly dealt a heavy blow to Seraide's morale. Captain Jingle unexpectedly failed. This Quincy with a gun is the strongest Quincy I've seen so far. His speed is simply too fast. I'm afraid only the captain can defeat him. Can't use Bankai. The captains are easily defeated, what shall we do? Although the Shinigami are fearless in protecting the Seraite, there are also timid Shinigami who spread fear. Seraite. Yamamoto Genryuzai stomped his wooden stick, but his expression did not change. The anger was invisible. Reiatsu radiated from Shojiro Sasaki on the side from Yamamoto, felt Yamamoto's anger, followed Yamamoto for thousands of years, and never saw him so angry. Captain. Shojiro Sasaki wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Yamamoto. He moved his lips and his voice was a little hoarse. These guys really want to ****s me off. Notify the captain. A meeting. Yes. Shojiro Sasaki nodded and immediately went to inform. Soon, all the captains, vice captains, and even many officers came to the conference room. This posture is not common. In a general meeting, it is just that Yamamoto summons the captain of the fan team, and the vice team also participates together. But the chief executives also attended, for the first time. Yamamoto stood at the top of the conference room, holding the head of the wooden stick with both hands, and his white eyebrows, which were more than 10 centimeters long, made it difficult to detect his frowning. However, from the aura emanating from the old man, he basically knew the content of the meeting. Get scolded. Jingle Chunshui knew all this was due to being shot through one eye and half ear by Robert. Even with a Kaido master like Unohana Retsu, he couldn't recover from the right eye injury that was shot through. Yeah, I didn't expect Quincy to use pistols. Times have changed, Captain. Jingle opened his mouth tentatively, wanting to see Yamamoto's reaction. After all, as a veteran captain and Yamamoto's favorite student, he should make a successful start and set an example for the Shinigami. As a result, he was absent-minded in the center of the battle and was seriously injured. What's more, this battle scene was played on the big screen. Didn't it make it clear that Shinigami is not as good as Quincy? Jingle, be serious, what do you mean the times have changed? Tōshirō smiled foolishly, turned his head to look at Yamamoto and continued. Captain, it's not Jingle's fault, it should be the first time he fought against Quincy and lacked intelligence. He was also surprised that Robert entered the Eucharist so quickly. Like the previous Kuruji, Pepe, and Bambi and others, after entering the holy body, they need to absorb the surrounding spirits, and then evolve. And Robert, without any sign at all, finished the Eucharist directly, then turned his head and shot. Not to mention Jingle Chunshui, if there is no intelligence, anyone may come to this result. Insufficient intelligence is indeed an excuse, but your captain, in the face of the enemy, can some concerns be discarded? Yamamoto turned his attention to Jingle. Obviously he noticed in the video that Jingle's emotions were not right, even in a mess. It's what the captain taught. Jingle immediately spoke up. Kenpachi smiled. Does Captain Jingle need to wear a blindfold in the future? Chapter 28, Number 41, The Strongest Espada, Yami. It just so happens that Kenpachi usually wears an eye patch, and it happens to be the right eye. It's just that his blindfold is to absorb spiritual power and suppress his own Reiatsu. I can't use your blindfold. Jingle Chunshui waved his hand. Kenpachi's blindfold with teeth, he can't bear it. Stay here and reflect on yourself, and don't go out without my order. Yamamoto frowned when he saw that the two were in a daze, stomped his wooden staff, and walked out of the conference room, followed by Sasaki Chojuro. Captain Jingle, the chief captain has something hard to say. How could you, who is used to sneak attacks, be attacked by Quincy? Sui Feng asked puzzled after Yamamoto left. Although Jingle Chunshui in the picture did say to himself that he was calm on the surface but shaken in his heart, but there must be a reason. In particular, Jingle usually uses shadow ghosts to attack in battle, but this time he was attacked by Robert, which is really unreasonable. Yeah, how would I know? Look at Robert's panel, the speed is as high as 85, it's normal that I didn't realize it. Jingle made an excuse. Not to mention the speed of 85, if he is not distracted, the speed of 90 probably won't touch him. Omeda changed the subject. It's okay, now I understand one of the abilities of the Invisible Empire Quincy, let our captain deal with him next time. Sui Feng is also good at speed, in the field he is good at, he may not lose to Quincy. Sui Feng glared at Omeda. As the vice captain, you should take the lead. Hearing this, Omeda broke out in cold sweat, and immediately changed his words. I think it is more appropriate to leave it to Captain Zaraki. However, at this time, the 41st name had already appeared on the big screen. 41st place in the power list, Yami Yargo. Open black lens bracket name, Yami Yargo close black lens bracket. Faction. Espada. Identity. Arankar. Ability. Homing blade. Attack. 84. Defense. 84. Speed. 80. Intelligence. 79. Vitality. 85. Reiatsu. 84. Combat power. 420,000. Both attack and defense are as high as 84. Vitality and Reiatsu are also high. Judging from the panel alone, there is no doubt that Yami is a strong player. It's already the 10th place, and our captain hasn't made the list yet. Omeda pouted, looking at the captains with nervous eyes. As soon as this sentence was uttered, the atmosphere in the conference room suddenly became awkward. Excluding Yamamoto Genryuzai, the 3 captains who defected, there are still 8 captains. So far, their names have not appeared. Fortunately, Yamamoto has just left, otherwise, seeing that Arankar is in the 41st place, the captains will be scolded again. Isn't Hiroko on the list? Let's count. Tōshirō rubbed the back of his head, feeling somewhat embarrassed that he still had to use his former captain to fill the scene. Shinji Hiroko, is that visored? Tōshirō asked. Also skeptical was Komamura Sajin, and some of the younger vice captains. He was the captain of the 5th team before Aizen, but if the former captain is counted, we would be too embarrassing. Zaraki Kenpachi said coldly. Madarame Makaku agreed. Of course the original captain can't be forgotten, otherwise it would be ugly to hear it. Captain Jingle and Captain Hitsugaya have both suffered defeats. I don't know if they can make it. Shu Bing sighed with emotion. Jingle was fine, and lost to Robert in a state of distraction. It can be regarded as not using the original strength. It's Tōshirō, who used Bankai during his fight with Kurotsuchi Mayuri, which means he was able to cast Bankai when he was made a zombie by Giselle. Not as strong as Giselle. I won't talk about the others, Ajien will definitely occupy a seat. Standing next to Kenpachi, who only reached his waist height, Yakiliu said affirmatively. Kurotsuchi Mayuri sneered, Captain Hitsugaya, maybe you can be on the list under the effect of my potion. Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Void Knight Palace. Yami grinned when he saw that he was on the power list. Ha ha ha, you see, I am ranked 41. Grimjow. Grimmjow is ranked 46th, with only 280,000 fighting power. In contrast, Yami has 140,000 fighting power higher than him. And besides speed, various values are also crushed. Grimmjow dismissed it, put his hands on his arms, and said nonchalantly, "What's the point of not making it into the top 40? You might as well be Yami." Ulquiorra said coldly. In the Arrancar group, which lacks a sense of companionship, Ulquiorra and Yami count as friends. The two often act together. Yami has a violent personality and finds everything troublesome, while Xiaowu has a calm personality, which just complements each other. Facing Grimmjow's ridicule, Xiaowu couldn't help but say something fair for Yami. "HMPH, don't put on your superior appearance, you don't seem to be on the list yet." Grimmjow snorted coldly, his face full of disdain for Xiaowu. "Facts will prove your ignorance." Xiaowu didn't say much. At this point, the screen has started to play on the big screen. Hueco Mundo, above the Void Palace. Rukia, Renji and Sato are fighting Yami. I saw Yami clenched his fist and slammed it against the stone pillar behind him, and said disapprovingly, "It's rare for me to eat and sleep like crazy, and I have saved so much Reiatsu through all my hard work, if I only use it on you garbage, it will never be used up." Quote. With a yell, he began to explode Reiatsu, and his size increased by 2 or 3 times. Sato and others were puzzled. Yami at this time was obviously different from the way he fought in the present world. "Did you see the number on his shoulder? It's 10. Renji noticed carefully and asked the 2 people beside him, "Have you fought Espada before you came here?" Facing Renji's question, Rukia's expression tightened. "Yeah. Don't force yourself to answer. I don't ask about the outcome." Seeing Rukia's appearance, Renji understood that she must have lost to one of the Espadas, because he himself was beaten badly by the 8th blade. "Well, what are you chattering about, trying to hit me? Just rely on you rubbish." Yami twisted her thick neck with disdain on her face. "Yeah, you fat pig." Renji squeezed Zanpakuto tightly. "Joke. Get angry, angry beast." Yami stared at Renji angrily, and pulled out the Zanpakuto from his waist. Accompanied by the red light, the violent Reiatsu burst out, and at the same time, the body size continued to skyrocket. Soon, he swelled like a titan, with a tail extending from his spine, and even 10 thick legs behind him, arranged in sequence. Yami, who returns to the blade, looks like a centipede, extremely weird. However, on his shoulder, Espada's number 10 has become 0. Chapter 29. Devil's Blow, Baboon King Zabumaru. Yami's return to the edge really made some people feel incredible. Although Arrancar was originally false, but the appearance after returning to the blade is simply too weird. Present world. When Renji saw Yami, who was tens of meters tall in the video, the corner of his mouth twitched. In the face of such a behemoth, ordinary methods would definitely not work. What a scary monster, and the 10 on his shoulder has changed to 0, does it mean that he is the most powerful in Espada? Inoue Orihime said with worried eyes. Sato nodded, his hair covered his eyes, but it was not difficult to see that he was also very nervous. When Espada was mentioned just now, the expressions of Renji and Rukia have obviously changed. From Grimmjow before, we can see that we are not Yami's opponents. What is not an opponent? When Renji heard this, he immediately felt uncomfortable. Kurosaki Ichigo can beat Grimmjow, why can't they beat Yami? Don't worry, just leave it to me. Renji patted his chest, full of confidence. Seraiti. Yeah, with this level of return, the Reiatsu contained in Yami may have surpassed many of our captains. Jingle Chunshui shook his head. The moment he returned the blade, he felt that Yami's Reiatsu was not comparable to Grimmjow's Espada. Even beyond a large margin. The mark on Grimmjow's body is 6, while the mark on Yami's body is 10, which turns into 0 after returning to the blade. Does it mean that the smaller the number, the more outstanding the ability? Sui Feng speculated. Komamura Sajin doesn't think so, it's not necessarily true. Maybe the arrangement of the numbers is related to other factors, otherwise the numbers of Yami will not change. Although I don't know how the order is arranged, there must be a stronger Arrancar in front of Yami and Grimmjow. They are Aizen's subordinates, and they must be our enemies in the end. Tōshirō looked at Komamura Sajin. Thought the Quincy were tough enough, a bunch of Espadas turned up. What a mess. Never mind the 9 blades Espada, just cut it off. Zaraki Kenpachi raised the corner of his mouth. In his eyes, all Arrancars are the same, just cut it with a knife and it's over. In the video, Renji and others looked up at Yami, who was behind the blade, in shock. How can they fight? Who said 10 Espadas have numbers from 1 to 10? Yami Arrancar shifted to the lower jaw after returning the blade, and when speaking, it swayed like armor. Espadas are numbered from 0 to 9, and I am the only Espada who can change the numbers after being liberated by accumulating strength. In terms of hard power, Yami can continue to accumulate strength, and if conditions permit, his strength can always become stronger. Said, Yami punched down. With a bang, like an atomic bomb falling, the entire ground shook. Renji and the others moved away in an instant. Roar! Zabumaru. Renji freed Zanpakuto, and the spine-like Zabumaru instantly wrapped itself around Yami's thick wrists. However, Yami just waved his hand, Renji was thrown away, and Zabumaru was relieved naturally. It's annoying. Yami's fist hit, as if covering the sky. Renji's heart tightened suddenly, and there was no way to dodge when he was already out of balance in the air. Ling dance, Soda no Shirayuki. Seeing this, Rukia hurriedly released Zanpakuto. Soda no Shirayuki suddenly becomes white all over, and is attached with a white ribbon, very delicate. First dance, Yubai. Suddenly, a soaring icicle appeared on the ground below Yami, freezing his wrist directly. But before the frozen domain could control the time, it was crushed into ice slag by Yami shaking his wrist. The power is so powerful. Rukia outside the video felt unbelievable. Although her strength is not strong, Soda no Shirayuki's frozen field is a controlling ability, and it was so easily resolved by Yami. Rukia's moves are useless at all, Renji and the others are definitely not opponents. Shu Bing frowned, he knew in his heart that Yami was not a vice-captain level to deal with. Byakuya Kuchiki frowned slightly when he saw Rukia being beaten so badly, wishing he could go to the battlefield to help her immediately. In the picture, after Yami unfreezes, he punches again. Sato hard blocked with Titan's right arm, and the two powerful energies collided violently, producing unparalleled destructive power. But Sato is no match for Yami. Soon, the heavy punch came down. Sato barely escaped by retreating, but at this time his left arm changed. The entire arm was white with red streaks, a sharp horn appeared on the shoulder, and the fingertips also turned red. Devil's Strike. Sato jumps up. Reiatsu is generated from the fingertips, and the lightning gathers on the fist. He punched Yami in the face. Boom. A violent explosion occurred, followed by black smoke. Majin's blow. Sato, when did you learn this move? Kurosaki Ichigo outside the video asked Sato in surprise. He only knew about Sato Titan's right arm, and had never seen such a strange left arm. Sato shook his head, I don't know either, maybe it's the ability to awaken in the future. It can be seen with the naked eye that the blow of the devil is more destructive than the blow of the Titan. The law of smoke without harm. As the smoke in the video disappeared, Yami, who was hit by the devil, was still intact. Not even the skin was broken. Garbage is garbage, what's the matter, there are no recruits so soon. He taunted Rukia and others to his heart's content. Rough skin and thick flesh means that you can do whatever you want. Stop looking down on people, start now. Renji stared, jumped up and waved Zabumaru in his hand. The strong wind was raging, and a large snake skeleton suddenly emerged from the hurricane. The snake's head was covered with bright red fur, and Renji's deadly costume also appeared as a skeleton decoration. Bankai, Baboon King Zabumaru. Renji grabbed the hilt of the knife and shook it violently. The big snake skeleton rushed forward like a hunting cobra. It's the same no matter how many times you come. Yami frowned thickly, swung a heavy punch, and collided head-on with the Baboon King Rattlesnake. Boom. The spine of the big snake skeleton was smashed into pieces in an instant. Boring. But just when Yami thought it was a trick, countless broken knife knots were applied on the surface of Yami's body, and red lightning was generated, which were connected in turn to form a lightning rope, trapping him tightly. In this world, Renji held his head high, crossed his arms with both hands, and shook his legs and said, so what about the Zero Blade, he is still defeated. Chapter 30, 5th Stage Hollow, 2nd. Skill. How crazy Renji is now, how badly he will be beaten soon. The lightning restraint created by Baboon King Zabumaru really made Yami unable to act in the first time. Rukia and Sato took the opportunity to attack. Ling dance, Soda no Shirayuki. Siwu by Lien. Soda no Shirayuki pierced the ground in all directions, and then released a powerful cold air like an avalanche. Titan's right bowl. Sato also concentrated all his strength on the right bowl. Ah! As the two shouted angrily, two forces rushed out at the same time. Don't be too arrogant. Yami's eyes widened, and he continued to explode with strength. Reiatsu, as vast as the sea, instantly produced a beam of red light to surround it. Swish. In front of Ultimate's power, Sato and Rukia's attacks were blocked, and the thunder that restrained him was also propped away. The resulting Reiatsu impact dropped the trio into the sand. The Zai Palace outside the video. Yami smiled foolishly, this group of ants actually want to hurt me behind the blade, it's wishful thinking. In the video, he didn't use his full strength at all, and he beat the three of them so badly. He felt that facing such a rubbish opponent was simply insulting him. It's just that the opponent is too weak, it doesn't mean how strong you are. Grimjow gave Yami a cold look. Ha ha ha, if you don't mind, the two of us can give it a try. Yami was gearing up. Xiaowu looked at the two of them, his expression unchanged. Yami, don't ask for trouble. In this world, when Renji saw this, his face became stiff and his legs stopped shaking. So embarrassing. The joint attack of the three was completely ineffective. In the picture, Yami opened his jaws and gathered a huge red imaginary bullet in front of his mouth. Although the destructive power of the false bullet is far less than that of Sero, its speed is 20 times that of Sero, and the three of Rukia have no way to dodge it. Boom. Sato and Renji were directly blown away, and Rukia stepped into the air by virtue of his speed, but was caught by Yami. I caught it, and you are finally the only one left. Yami held Rukia, who didn't even have a big palm, and tried to mock. It's so small, it's hard to hold. It's really small and hard to hold, but shouldn't this line be said by Renji? Rukia wanted to struggle, but her body seemed to be buried in cement, unable to move. Don't move around, you can't crush it in your hands, but it's a delicate job, let me think about how to kill you. Yami rested his other index finger on his forehead, closed his eyes and thought, it's not fun to crush directly. Just as he was distracted, Rukia freed an arm and unleashed Hado 33. Blue flame pendant. The blue fire fell on Yami's face and exploded, but it still didn't hurt him. Yami got annoyed instantly, grabbed Rukia and flung her away. The rapid landing made it impossible for Rukia to adjust her posture with the help of wind pressure. If she fell to the ground, she would definitely fall to her death. Boom. Soon, Rukia's landing point created 1,000 layers of sand and dust. It's boring. Yami looked up into the sky. Forget it, let's kill Ulquiorras B******************. D. But at this moment, a voice came from a distance. Who did you say you were going to kill? The voice came from Rukia's landing point, holding Tensa Zangetsu. Kurosaki Ichigo, who was wearing a dilapidated Death Tyrant outfit and exposed half of his body, stared fiercely at Yami. Saved by a chirp. Outside the video, Rukia's eyes widened, because she expected that she would be thrown to death, but unexpectedly, she was saved by Kurosaki Ichigo. It's that kid again. I'm really upset. Zaraki Kenpachi looked a little upset. I was fighting against the Quincy divisions before, and I was attacked by surprise, and it was Kurosaki Ichigo who came to the rescue. Now Rukia et al. Against Arankar, or is that guy coming to the rescue? It was as if Shinigami would die without Kurosaki Ichigo. Aegean, it's a good thing that Xiaoyi came in time, otherwise Rukia would be in trouble. Yachinryu took Kenpachi's arm, she knew Kenpachi's temperament, so she naturally understood. Void Knight Palace. What, Ulquiorra, have you been killed? Yami stared like copper bells, looking at Xiaowu incomprehensibly. You know, Xiaowu is the Espada that Aizen trusts, and his strength is even higher than his own. How could it be killed? Is it Kurosaki Ichigo? Xiaowu looked at Kurosaki Ichigo who came to rescue him in the video, his brows furrowed slightly with little change in his expression. In this world, Kurosaki Ichigo saw that he was saving the scene again. The score displayed was even more exaggerated than Renji just now. Renji, you can't do it, you have to rely on me in the end. Ichigo smiled faintly. Renji said nothing, and indeed had nothing to say. In the video screen, after 3 days, Shibai has become so big. It's impressive. Ichigo looked at Yami who had become a big bug, sneering. Kurosaki Ichigo, kill you. Yami was furious instantly, and Sero came into his mouth. But before launching, it was interrupted by Ichigo's crescent moon. He screamed in pain, adjusted and punched the two of them. In the blink of an eye, Ichigo has brought Rukia to safety. Rukia, you wait here, I will deal with him immediately, and then return to the real world. Saying this, Ichigo rushed towards Yami. Yami's body is too large and looks very bulky. After Ichigo dodges Yami away from the three of Rukia, his body begins to explode Reiatsu and enter hollow. However, his hollow mask changes again. Different from hollow in the 4th stage when Grimmjow fought, the mask texture at this time has only 2 red lines through the eye sockets, and it is thicker. A knife cut to Yami's neck, and the latter was forced to the ground. Spike. The outcome of the battle was beyond everyone's expectations. Kurosaki Ichigo, who changed the mask, killed the zero-blade Yami in seconds. Serai T. Ha ha ha, interesting, Kurosaki Ichigo, you've become stronger again. Zaraki Kenpachi's eyes lit up. Although he was unhappy with Kurosaki Ichigo's frequent saves, Kenpachi was very satisfied with the way he resolved the battle. Instant kill. Now he is stronger than when he faced Grimmjow. The demeanor has also changed a lot, Ichigo. Rukia is worried, he doesn't feel the joy of victory in Ichigo's eyes in the video. But full of desire to fight. Kurosaki of Hollow, is it really the original Ichigo? Chapter 31, Kenpachi's Rescue, No Debt to Each Other. Seeking data. The captains next to him looked at each other in blank dismay, because the strength of Kurosaki Ichigo's explosion was already enough to compete with the captain. Facing Yami of Shun Miao Renji and others, he just swung his knife and defeated them. How powerful it is. Kurosaki Ichigo won't be completely empty. Rangaku's eyes tightened. He had seen the Vizard led by Hiroko Shinji use Hollow's ability before, but he hadn't seen the mask change. No, I believe him. Rukia said quickly, clenching her fists. In the video, Ichigo landed on the stone pillar with a dignified expression. He also felt the hollow state just now, there was a sense of incongruity, and the mask became heavier. But at this moment, Yami roared and stood up again. Opening its huge mouth, it suddenly bit Ichigo. Although the blow just now split his neck, it was not enough to kill him. It was really cut by you, B*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** effortlessly. Seeing this, Ichigo was stunned in place, his eyes full of astonishment. Just cut to a point. The neck is attacked by the crescent sky in the hollow state, and it stands to reason that the head can be chopped off directly. Never thought. That guy only suffered a little skin trauma. What are you afraid of? Look at my number carefully, 0. Yami said. Among the Espada you have fought against, no one is stronger than me. Grimmjow, Neutra, Ulquiorra, they're all rubbish to me. Yami swung his fist, and a red false bullet shot out from his fist. Ichigo barely blocked it. Void Night Palace. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Especially between Xiaowu and Yami. People treat you as a teammate, but you treat him as a waste. Ahem, that, Ulquiorra, it seems that you were defeated by Kurosaki Ichigo. Yami coughed twice. Xiaowu looked at him sideways, but didn't speak. Xiaowu, who has returned to the blade at the first stage, is indeed not Yami's opponent, but Xiaowu, who has evolved into a black winged demon at the second stage, is not something that Yami can touch. Yo, the tone is getting more and more crazy. It's fine to bring Grimmjow, why did I also bring it? Neutra waved his hands, and he was shot while lying down, right? Neutra, Ulquiorra, it's no surprise that those two guys lost, and the battle is not over yet. Grimmjow disagrees. In his opinion, Kurosaki Ichigo is just a guy who cheats, and no one can do it. In the video, facing Yami's provocation, Kurosaki Ichigo said calmly, I don't care if you are better than other Espadas, it's the same, you have to win, that's all. Yami was immediately annoyed, and punched continuously, and countless false bullets were shot out quickly. Bang bang bang. The successive explosions made Ichigo fall into deep thought, and had a very strange feeling. The mood is so complicated. I don't expect you to have a sense of companionship, and I don't regret killing your companions, but I am very upset to hear you insulting people I have fought against so far. Ichigo wanted to hollow again, but the mask was not yet formed, but was grabbed by Yami. Just like when he grabbed Rukia, Ichigo couldn't move at all. Ichigo wondered why he couldn't take out the mask. Could it be related to the sense of incongruity just now? Compared to the scum that fell over there, you've done your best, go to hell, scum. Yami squeezed his nose and eyes, tightening his grip. Ichigo felt that his bones were going to be smashed, and he roared weakly. But at this moment, Hado's 33, Kengwo fall. While a blue light bomb bombarded Yami, another knife light streaked across the sky. Nani. Yami was extremely surprised, and at the same time, one leg was cut off and fell to the ground. Not far away, Byakuya Kuchiki, the captain of the 6th Division, and Zaraki Kenpachi, the captain of the 11th Division, are standing. Seeing the situation in the video, the expression of Renji in this world gradually returned to normal. Kurosaki Ichigo, I thought you could defeat Yami, but in the end, let Captain Kuchiki save you. At least I cut that monster. Ichigo pursed his lips. Anyway, his battle situation was much better than Renji's. Inoue put his hands in front of the hump, his face full of worry. Fortunately, the captain came in time, otherwise Kurosaki would. Seraiti. Ha ha ha. Kurosaki Ichigo can't beat that kid, it's finally my turn to save the game. Zaraki Kenpachi became excited when he saw himself coming to the rescue. Rescue each once, offset. He didn't want to owe anyone a favor. Captain Zaraki, it stands to reason that the ones who saved the scene were the elder brother and you. Rukia rolled his eyes, and this was not due to Zaraki Kenpachi alone. Moreover, Kido and Slash are all caused by Byakuya Kuchiki alone. Zaraki Kenpachi is a soy sauce. Byakuya Kuchiki, why are you rushing? Kenpachi turned to Byakuya. Byakuya looked at him coldly, and said, it seems that I arrived first in the video, do you know how to come first? I don't care what comes first come first, then you can't make any more moves. Otherwise, the two of us will fight now. Kenpachi said so much, but mainly wanted to touch Byakuya. Ajian, calm down, now is not the time for you to fight with Bai-jun. Yachinryu hurriedly grabbed Kenpachi. In the video screen, Ichigo was a little surprised to see the two appear, but fortunately he escaped from Yami's grasp. Otherwise, I will be pinched to death. Over there, Yami stood up quickly. Stand back, Kurosaki Ichigo. Byakuya came to Ichigo's side. Kenpachi also came over, glared at him angrily, and said, being beaten by a dog and laying on my road, you have lost all your face, don't die, you be ***************. As expected of Kenpachi, he was very polite. He picked up the Zanpakuto and stabbed at the road ahead. Ichigo hurriedly moved away, with blank eyes. You are serious, Kenpachi? You really want my life? That's right, a wimp deserves to die. Kenpachi grinned, showing no sympathy. As he said that, he flew over, trying to teach Ichigo a lesson. But suddenly, a huge fist hit, knocking Kenpachi into the air and hitting a stone pillar in the distance. It hurts so much, it hurts to death. D. I can't spare you, I can't spare you. How dare you cut off my feet and kill you, bug. Yami's eyes were bloodshot, while Reiatsu was furious again. At the same time, a boulder struck him, hit his arm and shattered. Kenpachi appeared in the smoke, he stepped on the gravel with one foot. Why, he can still punch, he is indecisive, he thought it was a big fly. Just use a little force to beat someone, you bug. Kenpachi outside the video smiled, enjoying the battle, and said in his heart, it's finally interesting. Void Night Palace. Ichimaru Jin also smiled, wishing to provoke Zaraki Kenpachi. Yami, you boy is miserable. Chapter 32, Reversal, Byakuya Kuchiki's Zaraki Kenpachi. Byakuya Kuchiki in the video makes Kurosaki Ichigo rush back to the present world. But without Urahara Kazuki opening the black cavity outside, Ichigo has no way to go back. Yeah, open your mouth and shut up Urahara, are you annoying? Just as he was frowning, a sharp voice suddenly came from behind him. Kurotsuchi Mayuri is pulling a cart of trophies, walking towards Ichigo. Not only did he get the loot, but he also deciphered the construction of the black cavity without error. Thinking of Urahara Kazuki's annoyed look, Kurotsuchi Mayuri had a good meal. Soon, Ichigo returns to the present world along with Unohana Retsu. On the other side, Yami is still fighting Zaraki Kenpachi. Don't be pretentious, watch your tricks. His huge fist hammered the ground continuously, and the hammered ground shook. Aren't you going to fight back? Be crushed, little fly. Yami charged up and punched down heavily, but the next second, he was in great pain. Zaraki Kenpachi below just waved Zanpakuto in his hand, and several of Yami's fingers were chopped off. B***************, D, you actually cut off my finger. Yami roared in pain, but Zaraki Kenpachi had already stepped on his arm, showing a wicked smile. Another cut, this time on Yami's forehead, blood flowed instantly. Seraiti outside the video. Kurotsuchi Mayuri's eyes widened suddenly, of course he was curious about what the trophy cart was, and his future self even analyzed the black cavity. This is no small gain. TCH, I thought I'd have so much fun, that guy is too weak. The interest on Zaraki Kenpachi's face had completely disappeared. The opponent is too weak to fight. The fight between Zaraki Kenpachi and Yami falls to one side. Kenpachi cut off Yami's limbs like chopping melons and vegetables. Yami, with several broken legs, crashed down. Holding Zanpakuto in his hand, Kenpachi snorted coldly. TCH, it's finally here, stubborn thing. Hey, are you dead, big man? Kenpachi kicked him with his foot, but Yami didn't respond, and all interest disappeared immediately. Hey, Byakuya Kuchiki, he's running out of gas. Turning to look at Byakuya. You take care of the rest. I don't understand what you mean. Byakuya came over. You're stupid. I mean, if you watch the excitement and see that you must be busy now, then I'll let you do his work. So that's how it is. If you want me to take care of the aftermath for you, you're beyond your control. Byakuya rejected Kenpachi, and said that killing such a thing is very suitable for a barbarian like Kenpachi. But just as the two were chatting, Yami put his hands on the ground and stood up again. Damn, hate. Yami immediately released a Sero, and the red flash spread across hundreds of meters. Void Night Palace. It's pretty tough, big man. Grimmjow was secretly pleased when he saw Yami's miserable appearance. It's useless to be big, except for thicker skin and thicker flesh, there are no other advantages at all. Although Yami's HP of 85 on the numerical panel is indeed high, but he has been hacked by people, even if his HP is 100, he will definitely be hacked to death. Grimmjow, can you release this powerful Sero? Yami looked at him in disbelief. Aside from Wang Shu's flashes, ordinary Sero and Yami, who is also behind the blade in Espada, can play this scale. If you can't hit, what's the use of a strong Sero? You look like you're dying. Dead. Yami laughed loudly. Don't you think that the me in the video is the limit? In the video, Byakuya and Kenpachi dodge Sero. As a result, on the way to attack, the two started talking again. After you have convinced me, you actually swear that you can end him with a single blow. Such a superficial view is very sad. For me, one more attack will kill him, so it may be difficult for you. It's really interesting. Whether it's difficult or not, just try it. Byakuya gave Kenpachi a blank look and released Zanpakuto. Both of them have a stubborn temper, and neither of them obeys the other. Senbon Sakura sinks into the ripples of the ground, raises thousands of blades, and turns into sakura flowers, flying and scattering. Kenpachi stopped and said excitedly, interesting, I've wanted to have a fight with you for a long time. He holds the Nozarashi and swings it towards Byakuya, which is wrapped in sakura petals. Seeing this, Yamamoto Genryuzai outside the video almost died of anger. What's going on? There's still internal strife. However, just as the two collided, Yami suddenly struck with a heavy punch. What a hindrance. Kenpachi and Byakuya changed their targets in an instant. Senbon Sakura and Nozarashi slashed at Yami's forehead at the same time, and Arankar's teeth were chopped to pieces. At the same time, people turned their backs on their backs. Alright, let's continue. Byakuya and Kenpachi glared at each other again as easily as if they had slapped a mosquito to death. Seeing this scene, the entire Shinigami world laughed miserably. Seraiti. Ha ha ha, this Yami is so miserable. Omeda laughed heartily, and after seeing Sui Feng glaring at him, she immediately covered her mouth with her hands, and continued, I have received professional training, and I usually don't laugh unless I can't help it. Live. Yami is so funny, forced to come and get beaten. Jingle became interested, I said you two are at this moment, shouldn't you deal with Yami first and then fight? Kenpachi grinned and looked at Byakuya Kuchiki. HMPH, that bug will only get in the way, but don't get in the way of my fight with Byakuya Kuchiki. If it weren't for Mr. Yamamoto's words to make them reflect in the conference room, it is estimated that the two would have started fighting. Captain Kuchiki and Captain Zaraki beat Yami so badly, and Yami is ranked 41. If you say that, the two captains can definitely rank ahead of him. Shu Bing beamed with joy. It seems that it's not that the captains are not on the list, but that they are all at the top. At least Byakuya Kuchiki and Zaraki Kenpachi are. Void Knight Palace. Ha ha ha, you still claim to be the strongest Espada, Yami, how about you? Neutra squinted into Yami's triangular eyes with a merciless mockery. In the scene just now, being beaten like flies by the two of them, Espada lost face. The corners of Yami's mouth kept twitching, it was really faceless just now. Yami, you say you are the strongest Espada, that's fine, but don't be so ugly, okay? The front teeth are all broken. Baragan stared like a god, making Yami a little terrified. Yami swallowed a mouthful of spit, and then patted her chest. Don't worry, this is not my limit. Chapter 33. The final return, the 40th place is announced. Seeking data. Yami does have his reasons for saying this. Compared with Xiaowu's second stage returning to the blade, he is not completely returning to the blade in the video. He can also continue to absorb energy, further strengthening the strength of the return blade. Although it does not belong to the second stage returning blade, the strengthened returning blade can be regarded as the real returning blade. In the video, Byakuya and Kenpachi confronted Yami again after they knocked Yami into the air. Countless sakura petals wrapped around Byakuya like a cobra standing up. Kenpachi is holding Nozarashi. The two have completely different styles, but they are full of the same fighting spirit. But at this moment, there was another bang. Yami, who was knocked down just now, stood up again, and Kenpachi's eyes widened in shock. What a pestering guy. Compared to Kenpachi, Byakuya was calmer. Yami stared with bloodshot eyes, the cracked fragments of Arankar's jaw still falling below. It hurts, you guys are making me angry. What, are you crazy? Kenpachi regained his composure, looked up at Yami's mad look, and complained. Unforgivable, unforgivable. Yami's eyeballs began to bulge, and a wave of reiatsu as vast as the sea spewed out. The flesh and blood turned scarlet and swelled together with the head. Just like cotton, it expands infinitely. Soon, these flesh and blood tissues reassembled the body. Boom. The reiatsu, which is powerful enough to shake the world, erupted at this moment, forming a beam of reiatsu light with a diameter of nearly 100 meters, straight into the sky. And spread infinitely towards the surroundings. Fortunately, Katetsu Azane and Rukia are surrounded by a spiritual barrier, otherwise they will be drowned in this reiatsu. When reiatsu's breath dissipated, Rukia's eyes widened suddenly, with a panicked expression. Impossible, that is, what kind of monster? Even though she was hundreds of meters away from Rukia, she could still clearly see that huge monster. Yami completed the final returning blade form. The original multi-legged giant worm now looks like a demon in hell. Its hair-covered lower limbs and tail are extremely thick, with 4 sharp horns on the top of its head and a pair of big horns on its back. The original Arankar on its lower jaw has also become sharp horns. It has just increased several times. Ah, with just a sigh, there was a shocking sound wave. Yami looked down at Kenpachi and Byakuya, and said in an aura, put me to the extreme, courting death. My returning blade is named Angry Beast, an angry beast. It is anger that makes me strong. Come on, let me be even more angry. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Shinigami world was dumbfounded. Saraiti, what kind of monster is this guy? How can he evolve? Tōshirō was the most shocked compared to the other captains. Because he knows that Yami in this form is no match for him at all. Although his own Zanpakuto Hyarinmaru is stronger than Rukia's Soda no Shirayuki, Rukia's Frozen Field has no effect on Yami. You must know that it is Yami who returned to the blade in the first stage, and the range of Hyarinmaru's freezing effect is indeed relatively large. But in Yami's current state, no matter how big the freeze is, it is estimated that he can easily break it. It seems that what Yami said makes sense, he is the strongest Espada, right? Looking at Tōshirō's surprised state, Rangaku spoke. It's interesting, it's really fun to cut. Zaraki Kenpachi was in a good mood, and he no longer wanted to compete with Byakuya Kuchiki in an instant. It seemed more interesting to be able to compete with the monster Yami. Komamura Sajin dog. Cold sweat dripping from his hair, I don't know if this is Yami's final form, or can he continue to evolve. His own Bankai with a black rope is different from the Bankai of other captains in that he can summon black armored warriors. You must know that King Tien's scourge is huge in size and extremely destructive. In terms of size, perhaps only Komamura Sajin can touch Yami. However, Yami, who has evolved again, has clearly surpassed King Mingming in size. If the two fight, Komamura Sajin will definitely not be an opponent. Of course, the black rope heavenly scourge Mingwang in the broken armor and rope clothes form is another calculation. Void Knight Palace. Yami, you still have this form. Ruby was shocked. She has seen Yami's returning blade. It is a multi-legged caterpillar. What the hell is the shape behind it? Yami grinned, then looked at the black faces of Grimmjow and others, and said naively, didn't I say that just now was not my limit? Going back to the video, I saw that the screen changed. Yami had been chopped down to the ground, and the whole ground was soaked in blood. All Shinigami people. At this point, the video ends. Void Knight Palace. Ha ha ha, that wasn't my limit just now. Grimmjow imitated Yami's tone just now. I thought that after he evolved, he would have the power to fight, but what happened? It was still killed in seconds. This is impossible. What monsters are Zaraki Kenpachi and Byakuya Kuchiki to defeat my final form? Yami's teeth were trembling, and the rampant strength just now was still gone. Yami, is this your limit? Neutra also mocked. Sarai TCH, I thought it was amazing, but this is it. Kenpachi spat and shook his head helplessly. The body size has increased, but the results have not changed. It's fine if Yami is instantly killed, but the battle scene between him and Byakuya Kuchiki must be played, right? Under the captain's command, no matter how powerful Arrancar is, it's useless. Yi Zhao snorted coldly. When you finish killing Yami, you can definitely drag the body back to me. Kurotsuchi Mayuri looked at Byakuya and Kenpachi. Kenpachi was immediately annoyed when he heard that. Idiot, how can I transport such a large corpse back to you? Didn't you leave when we were fighting? Transport it yourself. ... While everyone was joking, the 40th place list had already been announced on the big screen. The 40th place in the combat power list, Bambietta Basta's marriage proposal. Name: Marriage of Bambietta Basta. Force: Invisible Empire. Identity: Destroyer. Ability: Holy Text E Explode Critical Strike. Attack: 86. Defense: 80. Speed: 83. Intelligence: 84. Vitality: 82. Reiatsu: 85. Combat power: 450,000. Chapter 34. Guzi is the captain, Komamura is angry. Seeking data. Bambietta, is that the guy who was made into a zombie by Giselle? Kurotsuchi Mayuri nodded. In the previous video battle, his Spiriton fixation device perfectly restrained Bumbi's Spiriton light bomb. So Kurotsuchi Mayuri had a profound influence on her. Yi Zhao and Agong were beaten up badly by her. If Captain Ni hadn't appeared in time, they would have been miserable. I am very grateful to Captain Ni for that. Kusajishi Yakiru expressed gratitude. Small, that Quincy is really difficult to deal with, otherwise it wouldn't be ranked 40th. Kurotsuchi Mayuri smiled secretly. For the vice captain and the chief officer, it was indeed difficult to deal with, but for himself, it was a piece of cake. The Invisible Empire, the Ice Palace. Bambi is very satisfied with his ranking. Although he was turned into a zombie by Giselle in the previous battle for some unknown reason, the result is now clear. Giselle, Pepe et al. Are trash. Bumbi is the high-end combat power of the Quincy division. Little Bumbi, you're really on the list. Giselle said seriously. And you even entered the top 40. That Arrancar named Yami is no match for you. If you can make that monster into a zombie, it should be how wonderful. Gigi, even if you make Yami a zombie, you still can't beat Kurotsuchi Mayuri. Manina gives Giselle a blow in the head. Record. Bambietta Basta's marriage versus Komamura Sajin, win. Bambietta Basta marriage versus Shinji Hiroko, win. Close black lens bracket. At this time, part of Bambi's record appeared on the big screen. Faced with two captain-level Shinigami, they all won. This embarrasses the Shinigami of Sarai. Captain Komamura and Hiroko both lost to Bumbi, it seems so embarrassing. Jingle Chunshui shook his head with emotion. In this way, there are 4 captains who apparently lost to the Quincy. Hitsugaya Tōshirō, Jingle Harumi, Komamura Sajin and Hiroko Shinji. Kenpachi's surprise attack doesn't count. Have I even lost the battle? Damn it. Komamura Sajin grinned, showing sharp fangs, obviously unconvinced. Seeing Komamura Sajin's appearance, Kazan Tetsuziman quickly responded, maybe the captain was defeated when he didn't release Bankai, and it's not a complete failure. This statement was recognized by the rest of the captains and vice captains. Just like Captain Jingle, Captain Komamura probably got the information that the Quincy will absorb Bankai, so it didn't show the power it should have. Tōshirō nodded and said, this ability is really disgusting. Captain Nirvana, do you have any clues about the device that the enemy absorbs Bankai? Komamura Sajin turned to look at Kurotsuchi Mayuri. Of course not. Kurotsuchi Mayuri pouted in disgust. Dude, absorbing Bankai's star power, he only saw it once when Quincy Bell fought Yamamoto, unleashing Chojiro Sasaki Bankai. Moreover, it is still actively released. It is obviously difficult to analyze and crack its ability based on this alone. If you can see the process of absorbing Bankai, there are still some opportunities. Don't worry, there is still plenty of time, Captain Ni, take your time. Jingle Chunshui said calmly, the Quincy's attack on the Soul Society is a future event, and there is still plenty of time. Visored. Hiyori saw Bumbi's record. Hiroko Shinji was defeated, and immediately ran to Hiroko's side and knocked on his forehead. Idiot, why can't you beat anyone? Not to mention Aizen, that guy has merged with Hogyoku, and his strength is completely crushed. How can you defeat a Bambi who was made into a zombie by Giselle and ravaged at will? You must know that Hiroko's combat power is higher than Giselle's. It hurts. Shinji cursed back, covering his head. He has such special abilities, what can I do? It's not that he doesn't want to win, it's that he can't win. Soon, the picture began to play on the big screen. Seraiti, the 7th Division's security area. The surroundings have become ruins. It was still when Quincy attacked Seraiti. Bambiata looked at everything around him bored. She was wearing an invisible imperial military cap, waist-length black hair, and a short skirt with a proud hump. At first glance, isn't this a cute girl? How could it be a bloodthirsty demon? But in the next second, the painting style changed suddenly. Bambi waved the short saber in his hand, and at the same time when he raised the knife and dropped it, several soldiers of the 7th Division were directly cut off in the middle. Blood sprayed out and fell on the nearby ruins, exuding a strong bloody smell. Bambi was extremely fast, and when he beheaded Shinigami, the blood didn't even splash on her white military uniform. She smiled, as if killing people was fun. Seeing such a tragic scene, the Shinigami of Seraiti were almost numb. The one who got cut just now was me, don't. It's too cruel, there is no humanity at all. Bambietta, I advise you to be kind. The Shinigami of Team 7 shouted, but there was no way to stop Bambi in the video. It swung the knife again, but at this moment, a huge arm suddenly grabbed Bambi's arm. Komamura Sajin, who was wearing the captain's haori, glared, as even a girl like you a soldier of the bandit army. He was puzzled. If you didn't look at the brutal killing scene just now, this is a weak woman. Can even a puppy like you be the captain? Looking at Komamura's dog's head, Bambi continued to taunt. It seems that the Soul Society is really short of people. Outside the video, Komamura Sajin was furious when he heard Bambi's taunt. What is a puppy? He's obviously a werewolf, okay. Calling him a puppy would be too insulting. This girl is too rude, can't you tell if it's a wolf or a dog? Omaeda glanced at Komamura Sajin, and wanted to speak for Komamura, but unexpectedly, Komamura's eyes became sharper. Isn't this worse? Keiba Tetsuziman looked coldly. Omaeda, can you talk? Komamura Sajin is not a person who likes to make a fuss, so he didn't talk to Omaeda, but looked at Bambi in the video with anger and solemnity. Bambi Ieda Basta is married, you wait for me. The members of the 7th Division were basically killed by Bambi. How could he, the captain of the 7th Division, sit idly by? In the video screen, Bambi breaks free from Komamura and leaps into the air. A kick like an upside-down golden hook fired a spirit particle light bomb. Komamura Sajin held Zanpakuto in his hand, and his eyes froze. Zanpakuto had cut the spiritual bullet in half. Chapter 35, Ulquiorra is on the list, breaking doubts. Seeking data. Komamura originally thought that the severed spiritual bullet would disappear directly, or explode at the position where it was severed. But in the next second, an explosion occurred at his Zanpakuto position. The violent explosion instantly caused a lot of thick smoke. The shooting field who was watching the battle suddenly frowned, and couldn't help but feel worried for the captain. The explosion was so powerful that shooting field felt that if it happened next to him, he would definitely be injured. But for captain-level Komamura Sajin, there's no way this trick could hurt him. He quickly shuttled out of the dense fog. The next moment, Bambi brandished his saber and slashed vertically. Bang! Komamura Sajin held Zanpakuto with both hands to block it head-on. The blades collided to generate sparks and made a crisp sound. He never expected that such a delicate little girl would be as strong as himself. You must know that he is originally a werewolf, and his basic strength is far superior to that of ordinary people, not to mention that he is now the captain of the team. Komamura Sajin predicted that the situation was not right, and hurriedly raised his arms. Under the friction of the blade, Bambi took a few steps back. Without using Bankai, there seems to be no way to defeat her. Komamura Sajin frowned and immediately released Zanpakuto. Bankai Black Rope God's Scourge. A huge black armored warrior in armor suddenly appeared behind Komamura Sajin. The Black Rope Heavenly Scourge King Ming wore a red scarf on his face. Between the scarf and the helmet with huge horns, a pair of yellow eyes were glaring at Bambi, who was as weak as an ant at his feet. Just release Bankai. Outside the video, Kurotsuchi Mayuri wanted to call Komamura Sajin an idiot, but seeing the same surprised dog face, he held back. Could you be more steady? And this situation is starting to release Bankai. Sui Feng didn't give Komamura Sajin a good look. It is absolutely possible to use a few more tricks to test the strength of the opponent, and it is not too late to use Bankai again. That is to say, but if she saw her Bankai being taken away, she might not be as confident as she is now. Steady. You tell me how to be steady. Komamura Sajin stared at Sui Feng with dissatisfaction. It's not your second team who died. Lychee can't come down at all. If he could do it all over again, he would also choose to use Bankai and then kill Bambi. What a big deal. Captain Komamura did the right thing. In the situation where the enemy cannot be killed with ordinary abilities, Bankai is the best choice. Jingle Chunshui stood up and interrupted the two of them. It seems that Captain Komamura doesn't know that Quincy has the ability to absorb Bankai. Tōshirō also said. What if Bankai can be taken away if Bumby can be killed? Komamura Sajin gritted his teeth. The appearance of King Ming Ming in the picture not only didn't scare Bumby, but made him laugh wildly. Waiting for this time, Bambi immediately took out a star medal, which exuded a little spiritual light. Aim the star at King Scourge Ming. Swish. The huge black armored warrior black rope heavenly Scourge Ming Wang disintegrated instantly like a cracked mirror. And those fragments turned into purple energy, all of which were sucked in by the palm-sized star. Bankai was taken. Komamura Sajin was very surprised when he saw the black rope Tianju Mingwang disappeared, squeezed his nose and let out his fangs. But Bunby smiled lightly. Now the puppy's Bankai is mine. The video playback ends here. Invisible Empire. I didn't expect Guzi's Bankai to be such a huge warrior. Bangbi was full of surprise. Thinking that she could flexibly use the black rope to punish King Ming, she was excited for a while. The size is the same as when Yami returned to the blade at the beginning, but as Bankai's ability, the black rope heavenly scourge Mingwang should not be so easy to kill, Jiluji said. What if the samurai of the puppy Bankai is injured? Will it recover automatically? Bumby hadn't absorbed the black rope heaven's scourge yet, but he had already considered its usefulness. It should be closely related to the releaser. Maybe he will be injured, Gigi, if the black rope heavenly scourge King Ming is injured. Lee Toto explained. I'll get hurt too. Damn it, what a waste. Bambi grinned suddenly, he might as well use his own strength. Anyway, their Quincy just need to take away Shinigami's Bankai, whether they need it or not is another matter. The video ended just in time. Hiriko Shinji sighed, watching Komamura Sajin deflated, secretly pleased. It would be too embarrassing if it was his own battle and he was defeated in the end. Komamura Sajin was defeated because Bankai was deprived, but not necessarily himself. Maybe Bambi used the Bankai black rope he had stolen to deal with him. Thinking of the ferocious gaze of the black rope heavenly scourge King Ming, Hiriko couldn't help shivering. At the same time, 2 golden lights fell, and the names of Yami and Bambi had already appeared on the gold list of combat power. As the gold list gradually unfolded, the next name appeared on the big screen. The 39th place in the battle list, Ulquiorra Cipher. Name: Ulquiorra Cipher Faction. Espada Identity: Arankar. Ability: Homing Blade Attack, 86 Defense, 84 Speed, 85. Intelligence: 85 Vitality, 83 Ryatsu, 86 Combat Power, 500,000. If you discuss whether Yami is the strongest Espada before this, there may be some doubts. But now, Ulquiorra Cipher, who is the 4th blade, is on the list, directly breaking this suspense. Yami, who became Zero Blade after returning to Blade, is not the strongest Espada either. Yami can indeed continue to evolve after being beaten. If he hadn't met the 2 kings of Byakuya Kuchiki and Zaraki Kenpachi, it is estimated that his explosive strength would be even more. However, on the one hand, it has reached the peak, and on the other hand, it appears to be weak. Just like speed, no matter how strong the strength is, it is useless if the speed is not even higher. Ulquiorra, you ranked ahead of me, I thought you failed. Yami has a strong voice. He thought that in his state of continuous evolution, he was already the strongest person in Espada. Unexpectedly, Ulquiorra was on the list, with a combat power of up to 500,000. Xiaowu's expression did not change, as if he had expected it. There is no need to be so surprised, and it is only the 39th place. Chapter 36, Ulquiorra that is meatier than Yami. At this time, the video has already started playing on the big screen. As the video begins, Ulquiorra is seen reaching for Inoue Orihime's hump. Tearing this chest, can you see what's in your heart? Ulquiorra said blankly. Seeing this scene, everyone's hearts suddenly tightened. Is this a picture that can be played? Present world? What does this Espada called Ulquiorra want to do to Inoue? Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes flashed with cruelty. And the clothes Orihime wears are also exclusive to Arankar. Ichigo had a hard time not wanting to be crooked. It can be seen from Inoue's expression that she is not willing. Ishida Uryu stroked the frame of his glasses and said lightly. Orihime didn't know what happened, and he was a little out of sorts. Kurosaki-san, Ishida-san, you must trust me, good guy, it's such an exciting scene to play when you come up, right? They didn't feel relieved until they saw the follow-up video. When Ulquiorra was about to attack the bear, he lifted his finger upwards and said to Orihime's eyes, smash this head, can you understand what's in your mind? Boom. Suddenly, Ryatsu struck like an earth-shaking mountain. A huge hole was opened on the ground of the throne of the Suya Palace, and the figure of Kurosaki Ichigo flickered. Ulquiorra, who was wearing a white uniform, turned around and looked in the direction of Nagu Ryatsu's outburst, meeting Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes. Get out of Inoue. Kurosaki Ichigo, holding Tensa Zanjetsu, glared. That's exactly what I mean. My mission is to guard the Void Knight Palace before Lord Izengai returns. Ulquiorra's face remained unchanged. He didn't order me to kill this woman. He will not harm Inoue Orihime until the order is given. As the most trusted Espada of Aizen, Ulquiorra also obeys Aizen's orders. Ulquiorra looked at Kurosaki Ichigo with a rare frown, but you are another matter. Killing you is equivalent to guarding the Suya Palace. I will use my sword to destroy you. Saying this, Ulquiorra draws out the Zanpakuto, facing each other horizontally. It's a surprise. I didn't expect you to draw your sword at the beginning. I was thinking that I will let you draw your sword first. Ichigo's eyes change, and he continued. I can take this as your approval. Am I an opponent of comparable strength? At least, I agree that you must be destroyed, said Ulquiorra. Enough. The two impacted at the same time, and the Zanpakuto collided with each other, and the two Ryotsu streams that were produced were instantly sprayed in two directions, and the huge stone pillar was blasted out of an incomparable hole. Void Knight Palace. Ulquiorra, you just lost to that yellow-haired kid. Neutra, the fifth blade, was lucky. In terms of Ryotsu's strength, Ulquiorra of the fourth blade is indeed above him, but he doesn't feel that his overall strength is inferior to Ulquiorra's. Of course, not only Neutra is self-righteous, but also Grimmjow, the Leopard King. Yami almost killed Kurosaki Ichigo, and you Ulquiorra lost? Ulquiorra looked up at Grimmjow. Kurosaki Ichigo lost the debate. I think you are the best. He couldn't believe it when Yami said that he was killed. Maybe it was false information. Yami's incomplete state of returning to the blade almost crushed Kurosaki Ichigo to death. How could he lose when he was able to return to the blade in 2 stages? In the video screen, the two are still fighting. Crescent sky rushing. The black and red knife light quickly cut away. But it was cut in half by Ulquiorra's simple swing of the knife. The next moment, he was behind Kurosaki Ichigo in an instant and stabbed Zanpakuto. Ichigo, who sensed something bad, immediately blocked with a horizontal knife, and Ulquiorra's continuous attacks made him retreat steadily. Kai. Suddenly, with a flash of lightning, Ulquiorra's Zanpakuto pierced Ichigo's shoulder, and at the same time a green light shot out from the tip of his index finger. Sero. Unlike other Espada's Sero, Ulquiorra's Sero is emerald green and looks very small, but its power is not diminished in the slightest. Boom. In the blink of an eye, the Sero flies out in a devastating Reiatsu blast. Looking at Sero's head-on shot, Ichigo immediately turned his head. Although Sero missed the shot, it still made Ichigo's face feel extremely stinging. Without Hollow, Ichigo is no match for Ulquiorra. It's not over yet, Ulquiorra said, thrusting out Zanpakuto quickly. Ichigo tried his best to dodge, and analyzed. It's okay, I can see it, and I can handle it well. As soon as the sword is out of its sheath, it doesn't mean that the fighting methods are different, but the attack range of the hand knife has been extended compared to before. Ichigo concentrates. As long as he feels with his heart, he can catch the opponent's flaws. It's now. Ichigo, who dodged the attack, reached out and grabbed Ulquiorra's knife-wielding wrist. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ichigo roared and swung Tensa Zagetsu. The black and red crescent sky rush poured down from Tensa Zangetsu's blade, and slashed heavily on Ulquiorra's chest. This force was not as violent as expected, it just made Ulquiorra take a few steps back, and the white uniform was cut open, revealing a knife mark on his chest. Such a scene instantly made everyone dumbfounded. The crescent moon sky rushing face to face, unexpectedly only caused skin trauma. How holy is this Ulquiorra? Seraiti. Is this the fourth blade in Espada? His strength is completely higher than that of Grimmjow and Yami. Tōshirō frowned, his face pale. Such a fast speed, and instant Sero, so rough and thick, you may not be able to do it yourself. Ulquiorra's speed is indeed superior, but don't forget that Kurosaki Ichigo has not yet entered Hollow. Although Komamura Sajin can see that Ulquiorra is leading in the current situation, Kurosaki Ichigo after Hollow is not so easy to deal with. As you can see from Ichigo's fight with Grimmjow, he seems to have no limits. Rangaku nodded in agreement. Yes, Kurosaki Ichigo and we have a common enemy, we should trust him. Chapter 37. Seki no Orihime is a daughter-in-law. Ichigo is angry, seeking data. Kurosaki Ichigo in the video screen was amazed by the sight in front of him, but his expression didn't change much. The knife wound is so shallow. Is it the so-called steel skin protection? It is really hard. Ulquiorra touched the wound, blood stained his fingertips, but he remained indifferent looking at the blood. But compared to before, I seem to be able to see your movements gradually. Kurosaki Ichigo said. What did you say? Ulquiorra looked up. The last time I fought with you, I could hardly see through your movements. Whether it was your attack, defense, reaction, speed, direction, or where to start, I was not sure. Kurosaki Ichigo frowned. It felt like fighting a machine or a stone statue. And the counterattack just now made him roughly recognize that his own strength is closer to Shu. Or, you approached me. Ichigo said, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, with a hint of sarcasm. Hearing this, Ulquiorra's pupils shrank suddenly. It's hard to see such a strong change in his expression. Zanpakuto slammed into the ground, and the floor cracked like a shortbread. You said I was close to you humans. Ulquiorra stared at Ichigo, and then at the Reiatsu that Ichigo erupted, and said, I see, it seems that this level can keep up, and you're so happy that you're carried away. In an instant, the earth-shattering Reiatsu erupted from Ulquiorra's body, as if everything around him was weighed hundreds of times, and the entire Void Night Palace trembled accordingly. Seraiti. Nani, this Reiatsu is horrible. Komamura Sajin wrinkled her nose, unable to believe what she saw. Want to know that Ulquiorra can burst out this kind of energy before returning to the blade? Simply incredible. Tōshirō was also taken aback. Did Ulquiorra really lose in the end? I don't believe it. It's not that he doesn't believe in Kurosaki Ichigo. Even if Ichigo becomes the hollow state when he fought Grimmjow, he is definitely not Ulquiorra's opponent. Ha ha ha, this Ulquiorra is interesting, I really want to fight with him. Zaraki Kenpachi smiled heartily. Watching Ulquiorra's Sema face in the video, Kenpachi was excited. Exactly the same as Byakuya Kuchiki. Invisible Empire. Are there any strong people in Arrancar? The hero Masuko was eager to fight, apparently in high spirits. A large number of massacres. She nodded. The ranking is ahead of me, there is indeed something special, and I like his arrogant look. Why are you so arrogant and domineering? Just like my zombie, there is no expression change at all. The deceased Giselle snorted. Sometimes the expressionless face is the most arrogant, isn't it? Robert said calmly. In the video screen, after bursting out of Reiatsu, Ulquiorra swished to Ichigo's side. When Zanpakuto fell, there was a violent impact. Kurosaki Ichigo hurriedly dodges from the explosion, but Ulquiorra never thought of chasing him again. Who will be recruited? He stared hard, and immediately swung Tensa Zangetsu back. However, after images appeared on Ulquiorra's body, and he appeared behind Ichigo at an extremely fast speed. Bang! Seeing that Zanpakuto was about to hit Kurosaki Ichigo, a yellow crystalline barrier suddenly surrounded Ichigo. Inoue Orihime opened his hands, sweating, but he caught up in time. And Ulquiorra's slash was also blocked by the 4-day anti-shield, and the shield broke into pieces. Seeing the attack neutralized, Ulquiorra turned his head and stared at Inoue Orihime with a demonic gaze. What are you doing? I'm asking why you saved him. Why? Such a thing. Orihime hesitated, unable to think of an answer for a moment. Because he's your companion, and if that's the case, why didn't I protect him from the first move? Ulquiorra was puzzled. Watching Orihime not speak, he continued, what are you hesitating about? No. No, looks like you don't understand yet, let me tell you, you actually. Ulquiorra said, pacing towards Orihime. Enough is enough. Seeing Ulquiorra being so aggressive, Kurosaki Ichigo yelled at him, it doesn't matter what hesitating and talking nonsense. Thank you for saving me, Inoue, but it's dangerous here, stay away. Ichigo narrowed his eyes and said as if commanding. Present world. Kurosaki Ichigo was speechless. Inoue Orihime was originally human, or his own partner. Why can't you save me? But you, Arrancar, are out of your mind, right? The clothes Inoue Orihime is wearing, and the way she and Arrancar behave, I think they are the same. Renji looked at Inoue Orihime. I don't know what happened, but I'm definitely on Kurosaki's side. Orihime looked at Kurosaki Ichigo anxiously. Ichigo nodded and smiled. Of course, I believe you. Void Night Palace. Ulquiorra, why do I think you're interested in that human woman? Yami scratched his head and smiled innocently. He really cared about her. Hurley Bell agrees with Yami. If it wasn't for the fact that Inoue Orihime saved Kurosaki Ichigo, she would even think that Kurosaki Ichigo was an outsider. Haha, if Ulquiorra likes it, she can ask her to be his wife. Baragan leaned on the seat with both hands and said with a smile. Ulquiorra ignored them and continued watching the video. Inoue Orihime in the video obeys Kurosaki Ichigo's words and immediately walks into the distance. However, the murderous look in Ichigo's eyes staring at Ulquiorra has not diminished in the slightest. Ulquiorra, I didn't expect you to talk a lot. I thought you were a taciturn person. Saying that, the Tensa Zangetsu blade has released a large amount of black Reiatsu, which is obviously crescent moon again. As the crescent moon in the sky. I've said it's useless to me. Are you still obsessed with it? Ulquiorra said flatly. Facing Ichigo's impact, he took out Zanpakuto to block. He found that Kurosaki Ichigo deliberately let the crescent moon gather on the blade and not release it. Are you trying to give Zangetsu the power of the crescent moon? Compared with the released crescent sky chong, this type of attack is indeed more powerful. But in terms of speed, Ichigo was completely crushed. It seems that you are planning to play tricks, but have you forgotten that even the crescent moon after you use the power of the mask is still not my opponent, and the crescent moon without the mask is useless no matter how much you use it. At this time, the screen changed. Kurosaki Ichigo looked at Ulquiorra with a sneer, put his right hand on his cheek, and a devilish mask appeared. I've been waiting for a long time, accept it, this is what you've been waiting for, Hollow. Chapter 38. Block it, Black Wing Demon. Seeking data. This time Ichigo Hollow's mask is still the 4th stage. Putting on the mask, he seemed to be a different person. With a roar, the 2 rows of beast-like teeth under the mask made people shudder. Immediately there was a crescent sky attack. Compared with before, the Reiatsu emitted by the crescent moon under the mask is stronger, and the sword light is more brilliant. And Ulquiorra parried Tensa Zangetsu's Zanpakuto, creating a crack where the blade touched. It also means that the evil force just now is enough to crush the current Ulquiorra. Seraiti. Compared to Ichigo's previous fight with Grimmjow, Hollow's power has increased again. Rukia Kuchiki was very worried. She was always worried that Ichigo would lose himself because of Hollow's power. Just from the change in temperament after Ichigo put on the mask, she felt that the power of Hollow was not beneficial to Ichigo. Little one wearing a mask seems to be more eager to fight. Kusajishi Yakiru looked at Zaraki Kenpachi, and said lightly, Ajien, I really hope you can fight Xiaoyi at this stage. Kenpachi smiled slightly, I hope so too. But just when everyone thought that Ichigo was about to gain an advantage, Ulquiorra in the picture was still calm and didn't even blink. He countered Ichigo's attack with his unique Sero, but he didn't think that Ichigo could easily neutralize Sero with only Tensa Zangetsu's blade. Ulquiorra, without the power of returning blade, is no match at all. At this time, Ulquiorra left the main hall of the Void Knight Palace, flew straight to the sky, and then cut a crack upwards with a knife. Kurosaki Ichigo chased after them, and the two came to the zenith of Zai Palace, a dark void. Although there is half a crescent in the sky is as dark as ink, as if it is the sky above hell, it is suffocating. Ulquiorra stood on the pillar with the white crescent behind him. He looked down at Kurosaki Ichigo and said, under the zenith of Zai Palace, there are two taboos. One is the flash of Sero, Wang Shu, which is only used by Espada. The other is the liberation of the Espada numbered above. Both are too powerful, and it is inevitable that the Zai Palace will be destroyed. That's why Ulquiorra came to the zenith of the Void Knight Palace specially. But he didn't know that Kurosaki Ichigo had already seen Wang Shu's flashes. It was from Grimmjow, the Leopard King. Grimmjow doesn't care what restrictions he has or not, and he's done. Void Knight Palace. Ulquiorra is much more disciplined than Grimmjow. Baragan glanced at Grimmjow and Ulquiorra separately. Grimmjow was obviously disdainful, what's the big deal, didn't I destroy the Void Knight Palace? In the battle with Kurosaki Ichigo at that time, he used Wang Shu's flash to attack Inoue Orihime, forcing Kurosaki Ichigo to use the power of Hollow. The King Sero is not the real level of Grimmjow either. That's because you're not strong enough, clown. Neutra grinned, the markings of the fifth blade on his tongue leaking out. What did you say? Grimmjow was furious, his eyes could eat Neutra. Baragan stared hard at Grimmjow, almost done. Grimmjow is also sensible, and no longer competes with Neutra, he doesn't want to be aged by skeletons. Ulquiorra, pictured in the video, raises the Zanpakuto, aiming the blade at Kurosaki Ichigo below the pillar. Block it, Black Wing Demon. Swish. Green Reiatsu beams slanted down like a torrential rain, and Ulquiorra had already homing. A pair of large black wings shaped like bat wings that can cover the sky suddenly spread out behind his back, the white one-piece robe became more slender, the black nails turned into long claws, and he wore a two-horned white bone helmet, with black tear marks directly spread from under the eyelids to the chin. You must not waver. Ulquiorra stared at Ichigo a little apprehensively, and the latter immediately took out Tensa Zangetsu across his body. Don't collapse your posture, tense your nerves, and don't relax for any second. Facing Ulquiorra in such a form, Ichigo's heart was shaken. But it was too late for him to adjust, Ulquiorra had already grasped the Moonlight Sword, and attacked by surprise. Boom. The green light of the explosion filled the entire zenith of the Void Knight Palace. In the next second, blood dripped from Ichigo's cheek, and half of the mask was shattered. Have you reflexively released the crescent moon? It's a wise move, otherwise your head will be mine. Ulquiorra glanced at Ichigo who was kneeling on the ground behind him, and said indifferently. Ichigo panted heavily, and he found that even in the hollow state, he had no time to react. Your so-called hollow's ability has increased, and the time it can maintain the mask has also increased, but your mask is too easy to break. It's a pity. As he spoke, Ulquiorra threw the Moonlight Sword like a javelin. This attack was actually seen clearly by Ichigo. Although his shoulder was bruised, he managed to avoid the vital position. In the next battle, Ulquiorra was completely crushed. And Ichigo's only attack method, the Crescent Sky, could not hurt Ulquiorra even if he had no defense. This scene deeply shocked everyone's heart. Present world. Kurosaki Ichigo was dumbfounded, his eyes were about to drop. Impossible, absolutely impossible, Ulquiorra has no defense at all, how can the crescent moon under my hollow not have any effect? This completely ruined his three views. Could it be that Yami's claim that he killed Ulquiorra is false? What a terrifying black-winged demon, what kind of monster is Arankar? Inoue Orihime clasped his hands, his eyes trembling. There is Yami, the caterpillar with many legs, and Ulquiorra, the black-winged monster at the back. Ulquiorra is too strong, whether it's speed, defense, or attack. I'm afraid I can only hand him over to the captains. Renji frowned, feeling shocked. He doesn't expect Ichigo to defeat Ulquiorra, just to get out safely. The throne of the Void Knight Palace. Aizen watched the battle between Ulquiorra and Kurosaki Ichigo with great interest, with a slight smile on his face from time to time. The battle between the two is also in his plan, and he knows that Ichigo's hollow is far more than that. Kurosaki Ichigo, can you control the power in your heart? Chapter 39. Returning to the blade in the second stage, is Espada going to change the sequence? Seeking data. In the video screen, Ulquiorra hovered in midair, holding the Moonlight Sword in his hand, looking down at Kurosaki Ichigo and said, After all, it is only a human level, and your black crescent is indeed very similar to our Sero. Hearing this, Kurosaki Ichigo suddenly became angry. Sero, don't compare yourself to this kind of stuff. Really, haven't you seen it yet? For the last time, let you see the black Sero released by Espada in the liberated state. As he spoke, Ulquiorra raised his arm, black energy converging on his fingertips. Black Sero. Swish. A black shock wave filled the ears like thunder, and shot towards Kurosaki Ichigo swiftly. Kurosaki Ichigo was instantly submerged in the black Reiatsu, the power of ultimate directly tore his mask, and even the death costume was completely shattered. Understood. Even if your form and tricks are similar to Arrancar, your strength is still very different. Ulquiorra stepped on the air towards Ichigo. For humans or Shinigami to gain power, imitating Arrancar is the proper direction, but you humans will never want to be equal to us Arrancar. Ulquiorra approached Kurosaki Ichigo like a dark cloud. Kurosaki Ichigo knelt down on one knee, gasped for breath, barely stood up, and wanted to continue using the crescent moon, but was cut and flew by Ulquiorra. The power gap between the two is too great. Seraiti. Ichigo's hollow state disappeared. Rukia looked worried, even the strongest hollow disappeared, how to fight next? The strength of the two is not equal at all. The more advanced Sero, Black Sero is as powerful as Wangshu's flash, and Ulquiorra is released so easily, I can clearly feel the gap between Grimmjow and Yami. Jingle Chunshui has deep eyes, maybe Ulquiorra is Espada's high-end combat power. If it were Captain Kuchiki and Zaraki, I'm afraid it would not be so easy to defeat him. Omeda looked at the two of them. Are you kidding? Our captain is not easy to deal with Arrancar. One corner glared at Omeda. Byakuya Kuchiki may not be an opponent, but Zaraki Kenpachi, who is one of the 5 special forces, is still easy to handle. Pray for Kurosaki Ichigo. Jashiro sighed. The captains are not optimistic about Ichigo, but they don't know that Ichigo is dead. In the video screen, Ulquiorra grabbed Kurosaki Ichigo's neck, suspended him in midair, looked at Ichigo's grip on Tensa Zagetsu's right hand, and asked, why don't you let go of the sword? Having witnessed the gap in strength between you and me, do you still think you can defeat me? Kurosaki Ichigo's voice was hoarse. What about the power gap? After learning that you are stronger than me, do you think I will give up? He knew from the very beginning that Ulquiorra was strong, and now even if he had seen Ulquiorra's power countless times, it would be useless. Because he has no fear in his heart. I will strike you down, Ulquiorra. Ichigo lifted Tensa Zangetsu with difficulty. Seeing this, Ulquiorra showed a rare look of surprise, and threw Ichigo away. Joke, Kurosaki Ichigo, saying something like that shows you don't know what true despair is. As soon as the words fell, a wave of Reiatsu erupted from Ulquiorra's body, strong and heavy. Since you don't know, let me tell you, this is the real gesture of despair. On the other side, Ishida Uryu took Inoue Orihime to fly to the zenith of Zai Palace. Uryu took Orihime away under Ichigo's order before, but the shocking battle at Zenith forced them to go up to check the situation. Sword Liberation, the second stage. As the green Reiatsu waters, the form of Ulquiorra undergoes a secondary change. The white robe disappeared, and sharp antelope-like horns grew from the top of the head. The abdomen, legs, arms, and back were covered with black feathers. The wings were fully spread, revealing bat-like claws. A black pattern oozes from the huge hole in his chest, and he is like a demon god at this moment. The black-winged demon, the second stage returns to the blade. Among the Espada, only I can liberate the second stage, a form that even Master Aizen has never seen. Seeing this scene, the people watching were already incomparably shocked. The throne of the Void Knight Palace. There was a faint smile on Aizen's face. He knew that Ulquiorra had a second return, but he had never seen the real liberated form. Feeling the changes in the second part of the video, Aizen immediately became interested. Interesting, I don't know how much strength will be improved. Compared to Aizen, the other members of Espada were less calm. Second stage return to the blade, how can it have such a form? This earth-shattering Reiatsu is dozens of times stronger than returning blade. Ulquiorra, you hide so deeply. Grimmjow, Neutra, and Yami stared at Ulquiorra with wide eyes. Ulquiorra was very calm, as if nothing had happened. Baragan was also shocked. If it wasn't for his special ability, this guy might really surpass himself. Seraiti. What kind of monster is Ulquiorra? Its shape has become even more terrifying. Tōshirō frowned tightly. They have only seen Arrancar's returning blade, what the hell are these two returning blades? Rangaku made a guess. Is Ulquiorra's second return blade similar to Yami's change? No, Yami has not performed the second stage of liberation. The form change of absorbing energy may be his exclusive ability, and it is definitely not as obvious as the improvement of the second stage of returning to the blade. Byakuya Kuchiki expressed his inner thoughts. The corner that Zaraki Kenpachi was guaranteed to beat Ulquiorra just now is also in a cold sweat. The current Kurosaki Ichigo is even more ruined. The opponent is too strong, how can he defeat it? However, in the picture, Ichigo staggered to his feet. Ulquiorra looked into Ichigo's eyes, but felt the determination in Ichigo's heart, not even the slightest fear. Okay, then I'll turn your whole body into ashes and wake you up. Ulquiorra squatted up, touched the ground with one hand, and swooped down after accumulating power. Grabs Ichigo's head and throws him flying into a distant pillar. However, he didn't know that this move would soon be Kurosaki Ichigo's turn to use it on him. Chapter 40, Bullhead Ichigo, the final battle. If it's because of your so-called heart, it means that you humans are hurt because you have a heart, and you die because you have a heart. Ulquiorra clenched his sharp-nailed palm and looked at Kurosaki Ichigo flatly. Even though Ichigo was covered in bruises, he still picked up Zanpakuto steadily. He is not fighting with the mentality that he can win, but because he must win, so he fights. At this time, Ishida Uryu and Inoue Orihime had already rushed to the zenith of Zai Palace. But found that under the white moon, on the tallest pillar, Ulquiorra wrapped the devil's tail around Ichigo's neck, and the situation was not optimistic. Ulquiorra sensed Inoue Orihime's approach and looked away. Here we come, woman. Looking at Ichigo in such a mess, Orihime's face was full of fear and worry. Exactly. Ulquiorra put his finger on Ichigo's chest, and continued. Look carefully, the moment when the life of the man you pinned your hopes on was blocked. Black Sero pooled at his fingertips. Boom. The explosion pierced everyone's eardrums, Ichigo's chest was blacked out, and Sero pierced a big hole. Ichigo had dilated pupils, no signs of life, and collapsed to the ground after Ulquiorra let go of his tail. Seeing this, both the secular world and the Seraiti feel unbelievable. No, Kurosaki-san. The living Inoue Orihime immediately looked worriedly at Kurosaki Ichigo beside him. Kurosaki Ichigo was killed by Ulquiorra because she went to save her, and she felt guilty inside. Although I don't want to see this situation, I have to accept it. Renji patted Ichigo's shoulder and shook his head helplessly. Seraiti. What? Kurosaki Ichigo was killed. Rangaku's pupils constricted in disbelief. Although it is certain that Kurosaki Ichigo is far inferior to Ulquiorra, it is hard to accept that he was killed suddenly. The disparity in strength is so great, it's normal to be killed. Omaeda said lightly. No, didn't Kurosaki Ichigo fight Yami behind, and then Lousy went to save him? Zaraki Kenpachi's eyes froze. That's not necessarily the case. It's impossible to judge the fighting time in the video. You can't rely on a sentence that Yami hasn't confirmed to explain everything. Byakuya Kuchiki thinks that Kurosaki Ichigo has been pierced through the chest, and there is no vitality on his face. He is 100% dead. In the video, Ichigo fell from a high pillar, Orihime hurriedly made a crystal shield to catch him, and ran over in fear. At this time Ulquiorra stopped in front of her. It's useless, even if you try to get close to him, your strength cannot extend his life. Orihime's Shuangtian return shield is the ability to completely reject the impact and damage of things, and turn them into nothingness to violate the domain of God. And for Ichigo, who has lost her vitality, her abilities obviously don't work. Under the interference of Ishida Uryu, Orihime crossed Ulquiorra to Ichigo's side, and put on the Shuangtiangui shield in time. However, there was no change in Ichigo's deactivated eyes. Orihime is terrified and blames herself for her inability to bring Ichigo back to life, and Ishida is being ravaged by Ulquiorra at will. Kurosaki-san, I don't know what to do, I don't know anything. Tears flowed down his cheeks, there was no way to help Ichigo, and there was no way to help Ishida, and Ishida entrusted him with the responsibility of saving Ichigo. At this moment, Orihime's heart collapsed. She blamed herself for being too incompetent, and crying, she could only seek Kurosaki Ichigo who was snuggled up to but fell in front of her. Please, Kurosaki-san. This cry from the heart seemed to touch the dead heart of Kurosaki Ichigo. He started to have a heartbeat, and saw Orihime crying and Ishida fighting in a blur. Finally, he has consciousness. She's calling me, I hear you, stand up. Stand up, stand up. Suddenly, the zenith of the entire Zai Palace shook, and a wave of reiatsu as deep as the vast sea suddenly burst out. Not Ulquiorra, nor Ishida Uryu, but Kurosaki Ichigo. Ichigo's hair grows longer, black reiatsu emerges like overflowing water. I will protect you. Boom. Reiatsu erupted completely, the space seemed to be distorted, and Kurosaki Ichigo, who had fallen to the ground, had already stood up. The big hole in the chest has not disappeared, the hair is longer than the waist, the head grows sharp horns that look like a twisted head, the body is long and thin, and the neck, wrists, and ankles grow red hair. At this time, he is no longer like a human being, but more like a bull. This scene in the video shocked everyone, including the three realms and the Invisible Empire. Stand up again. Kurosaki Ichigo looked at his very similar appearance to Shu, and was extremely surprised. But he felt the same aura as Zubai in his body from Niutouxu's body. Could it be a coincidence? Ichigo thought to himself. It's good news, it means that you are not dead, but in this form, Kurosaki Ichigo, you have completely become hollow. Renji let out a long sigh of relief, with a little surprise on his face. Kurosaki-san is fine, that's great. Orihime was overjoyed. Seraiti. Shu, it has successfully evolved into Shu, it's really interesting. Kurotsuchi Mayuri was beaming, and became very interested in Ichido. Isn't it more interesting than other experiments to change from human to virtual? Jingle Chunshui and the others looked at each other, but their brows were tightened. They can see that the bullhead Ichigo seems to have lost his mind. If he really becomes hollow, can he change back? The throne of the Void Knight Palace. Aizen smiled lightly, staring at Ichigo's bullheaded state with satisfaction. Great, Ichigo. The people in Espada were already dumbfounded. They thought Ulquiorra's second stage return was awesome enough, but what the hell is it that Kurosaki Ichigo has turned into a bull's head? The Quincy of the Invisible Empire were also shocked. The Reiatsu that Ichigo erupted just now was taller than most of them. Back in the video, Ulquiorra stared at Ichigo and asked suspiciously, "You can't be alive, what is that form, and who are you?" Niutouxu ignored him. Zanpakuto returned to his hand with a shake of his arm, just waved it, and the earth fell apart. Even Orihime was bounced off, apparently out of his mind. "Can't you hear me? I'll ask who you are again." Ulquiorra pressed. Niutouxu let out a roar, and the earth-shattering Reiatsu broke out again. "Looks like you don't understand me." Ulquiorra's fingertips converge on Sero. The bull's head bowed, and a red Sero that was dozens of times stronger gathered at the two corners of the fingertips. Boom. The red Sero completely devours Ulquiorra's Sero, and Ulquiorra scrambles to avoid it. This Nima is Sero. Chapter 41, the next one, Hurley Bell with the most water. Impossible. There is no doubt that it was Sero just now, and it is to the extent that the black Sero can be broken up. How is it possible? Ulquiorra almost doubted life. His eyes were huge. Even if it looks like nothing, how can mere humans release Sero? Just as he was surprised, Ichigo's Sero struck again. "Don't underestimate me." Ulquiorra hit again with black Sero. Boom. With a loud noise, a fiery wave rushed out from the zenith of Zai Palace, accompanied by earth-shattering shocks. Billowing thick smoke rose into the sky like an overwhelming sandstorm. Ulquiorra was shocked again that Kurosaki Ichigo's Sero wanted to break up his black Sero again. Not only in the video, but Ulquiorra outside the video is equally shocking. There was a clear gap between his astonished gaze and his usual expression. He would never have imagined that it was his black Sero in the second stage of returning to the blade. How could he be completely crushed by Kurosaki Ichigo's ordinary Sero? Is there such a huge difference in strength? The rest of Espada were also very surprised. The strength of Kurosaki Ichigo in the bullhead state is already completely above all of them. In the video screen, Ulquiorra is still surprised, and Kurosaki Ichigo has appeared behind him in an instant. Grabbing Ulquiorra's arm and jerking it, the arm was easily torn apart like chicken stewed for 2.5 hours. Blood flowed down, and Ulquiorra was panting heavily, completely different from the normal look just now. However, high-speed regeneration allowed his severed limbs to quickly grow new arms. Ulquiorra's strongest ability is not attack, but regeneration. Among the Arrancar who gained great strength at the cost of most of the high-speed regeneration ability, only he can high-speed regeneration all body structures except the brain and organs. No matter how you get into this form, no matter how powerful your attack power is, if you stop attacking to check the situation with just one arm of Ning Duan, you won't be able to defeat me. Ulquiorra regained his composure, raised the fingers of his hands, and then fabricated a thunder gun. "Don't come, stand where you are, I don't want to shoot it when you get close." As he spoke, he fired the thunder gun violently. The thunder gun and the head-turning Ichigo brushed past each other, but the distant landing produced an unrivaled explosion. Did the shot miss? It's really hard to control. Ulquiorra immediately fabricated a thunder gun. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Seraiti. Can this guy unleash the thunder gun infinitely? The corner of Tōshiro's mouth twitched. He certainly couldn't create such a large-scale damage by himself. And Ulquiorra can be released infinitely. As a trump card, it should consume a lot of power to release one, but Ulquiorra is like an infinite reserve. Horrible. Yeah, it's a good thing it's not our captain fighting this Arrancar, otherwise it would be a disaster. Jingle Chunshui shook his head. He can guarantee that the captains present are absolutely not 100% sure of defeating Ulquiorra. Even some captains are likely to lose. It's so miserable. He can release 1 or 2 thunder guns, I still don't believe he can release them infinitely. Zaraki Kenpachi snorted coldly. In the picture, Ulquiorra has just created the thunder gun, and the bullhead Ichigo immediately came behind him. He didn't even notice it at all, completely fooling his probing nerves. This isn't Shunpo, it's Ring. The bull's head was cut off with a knife, and Ulquiorra blocked it with the thunder gun. The strong collision caused him to slide nearly 100 meters. Another impact, Niutouxu grabbed his head like a ghost, pressed him against the giant pillar and rubbed him ruthlessly. Unexpectedly, he was quite vengeful. Next, the battle between the two caused the sky to collapse and the aftermath to fly wildly. The bullhead even staged a scene of catching the thunder gun with his bare hands. In the end, Ulquiorra was defeated by the bullhead's slash. The video playback ends here. Void Knight Palace. Aizen nodded in satisfaction. The strength displayed by Kurosaki Ichigo, who has become completely weak, has fully reached his inner standard. As for Ulquiorra, despite the brutal ending, Aizen has no regrets. After all, Espada is just a tool for oneself, and sacrifices are inevitable in order to achieve the goal. Ulquiorra, I just said that you were killed by that kid. Yami is confident now. When Ichigo didn't turn into a bullhead, he he really thought that the information he said was false. That kid has unlimited potential. He is a human being, but he can hollow, and finally turned into a complete hollow. Baragan said with great interest. It would be quite interesting to bring him over. Hurley Bell smiled. He's still recruiting, he's already killed 2 Espadas. Ulquiorra's face was calm, but his heart was far less calm than his expression. I actually lost to a human. Still defeated so thoroughly. Seraiti. Catch the thunder gun with bare hands, the speed I can't catch with the naked eye. Kurosaki Ichigo, what surprises can you bring us? Komamura Sajin stared like a dog, wondering what kind of monster Kurosaki Ichigo was. When he broke into Seraiti, he was still a brat, but in the video he has grown to such a degree. Why can Kurosaki Ichigo completely become hollow? Jashiro was a little confused. Even Hiroko Shinji, who was framed by Aizen for the hollow experiment, could only hollow. Completely become virtual, isn't this nonsense? That's a good question. When that kid comes to Seraiti next time, I will study it carefully. Kurotsuchi Mayuri smiled slightly, and next time Ichigo comes, he has to be dismantled and analyzed. That will have to wait until he turns into Shu and fights with me. Kenpachi hurriedly stopped Kurotsuchi Mayuri, at least let him have a good time first. Good guy, Ichigo has become a favorite. 38th place in the ranking of combat power, Tia Hurley Bell. Name: Tia Hurley Bell. Faction: Espada. Identity: Arrancar. Ability: Homing Blade. Attack: 85. Defense: 84. Speed: 85. Intelligence: 86. Vitality: 83. Reiatsu: 87. Combat power: 520,000. Chapter 42. Let's Conquer, Queen of the Sharks. Seeking data. Tia Hurley Bell, the third blade of Arrancar Espada, known as the woman with the most water. Ranked 38th on the power list, surpassing Ulquiorra. Void Knight Palace. After seeing the ranking again, Ulquiorra's expression jumped slightly. Impossible, I have mastered the second stage of returning to the blade, why is the ranking not as high as that of Hurley Bell? Although he is very sure about Aizen's ranking of Espada, in his opinion, Aizen doesn't know about his second stage return to the blade. If he rearranges Espada according to the second stage return to the blade, he will not be ranked 4th. Not looking down on Hurley Bell, he just had high expectations of himself. Hurley Bell is very calm, this ranking is not beyond her expectations. He is indeed stronger than Ulquiorra. No, why is Ulquiorra ranked behind Hurley Bell? Yami scratched his head, raising his doubts. Is there any problem with him being behind Sir Hurley Bell? Don't forget who was the 4 blades and who was the 3 blades. Hurley Bell's subordinate Apache looked at Yami with some disdain and said. Yami still doesn't give up. Ulquiorra can return to the blade in 2 stages. None of us know this, even Master Aizen knows. If Master Aizen knows, the order of Espada should be changed. Mira Rhodes chuckled lightly. Yami, our power is given to us by Master Aizen. Why do you say that Master Aizen doesn't know about Ulquiorra's second return blade? Are you questioning Master Aizen? Hearing this, Yami panicked immediately. He glanced at Hurley Bell and said with a smile, how dare I question Lord Aizen? That's right, according to the sequence, Ulquiorra must be behind Hurley Bell. Good guy, changing faces is faster than turning pages. Seraiti. The Shinigami saw that the next person on the list was Arrancar again, and they had already expected that she would be higher than Ulquiorra in the Espada. Ulquiorra, who ranks 4th, is already powerful enough. I don't know what strange abilities Espada, who is ahead of him, has. Tōshirō said curiously. Ulquiorra also said before that he is the only one who can return to the sword in the second stage, so Hurley Bell should not be able to return to the sword in the second stage. That's not the case. Since others don't know about Ulquiorra's second stage return blade, then Ulquiorra may not know that others have second stage return blade. The concealment is mutual. That's reasonable, but those who are on the list one after another are all Aizen's subordinates. When the time comes to really fight, let's not make a fool of ourselves in public. The captains talked and analyzed Aizen's current power deployment. Espada has 10 people. According to the current situation, there are likely to be 6 people on the list. As for the captains of Seraiti, none of them are on the list, which one is stronger and weaker, and the results are immediate. It's not better to expose their abilities, it's more powerful for us. Kurotsuchi Mayuri grinned. At this time, the video has already started to play the screen. Karakura Town Battlefield. A woman with brown skin, green eyes, short blonde hair in 3 long braids, a top collar and Arrancar covering half of her face was fighting Tōshirō. I saw her slowly unzip her jacket from the proud weapon, and the number, 3 feet was imprinted on her plump hump. It means she is the third blade of Espada. Tōshirō was taken aback. So big. Seraiti. Yeah, is this the third blade? Jingle Chunshui picked up the bamboo hat with his hands, and looked seriously at Hurley Bell on the big screen. Deeply attracted by it, when Shishu saw Jingle Chunshui's appearance, she glanced at him immediately, and then coughed lightly. Captain, pay attention to your image. The third blade turned out to be a woman, but Laozi's knife can kill both men and women. Zaraki Kenpachi laughed evilly, and he felt Hurley Bell's aura. As an enemy, it is definitely a good opponent. In the video screen, Tōshirō looked at Hurley Bell in astonishment. As a person of your strength still ranked third. My strength. Hurley Bell stared at Tōshirō with world-weary eyes under the golden eyelashes, and said softly, I don't remember letting you see the bottom line of my strength. She unbuttoned her blouse completely, revealing Arankar, who covered half of his face and covered his hump. Bankai. Daiguren Hirenmaru. Seeing Hurley Bell getting serious, Tōshirō hastened to use Bankai. But Hurley Bell came over in an instant, chopped the ice blocks surrounding Tōshirō's body with a single blow, and the latter also fell heavily to the ground. That's all. Boring. Hurley Bell takes the Zanpakuto, attaches the yellow Reiatsu, and like a burning flame, she raises the Zanpakuto at Tōshirō, Bokang Cannon. Boom. The violent explosion instantly created a large amount of dust, but Tōshirō escaped from the dust, flapped his icy wings and flew to Hurley Bell's side. He was sweating coldly. While continuously avoiding the wave cannon, he was caught by Hurley Bell and shot down again. Seraiti. Damn it, am I powerless to fight back? Tōshirō frowned tightly, the self in the video is too miserable. Hurley Bell didn't even use the returning blade, so he wasn't an opponent. He was a little skeptical about life. Captain, you have to believe in yourself, that's not your full strength. Rangaku bent slightly, and Tōshirō's hump, which was more proud than Hurley Bell's, was close to Tōshirō, making his heart tense. Tōshirō dodged his eyes for a moment, as if he had been beaten out of his mind by this fierce woman, Hurley Bell. In the video, Hurley Bell looks at the defeated Tōshirō with disdain. With this level, you can become the captain. She didn't expect that the three of her subordinate officers, Apache, would be defeated by this kind of person. The three of them were defeated by Mr. Yamamoto. Obviously, she classified Yamamoto Genryuzai and Tōshirō into the same category. Although they are both captains, their levels are completely different. Hurley Bell turned Zanpakuto, I'm going to break it, I will crush you with overwhelming force, and you won't have the strength to stand up again. Her eyes turned ruthless. Let's conquer, Queen of the Sharks. Chapter 43, Attribute Restraint, Tōshirō's Turnaround Battle. Let's conquer, Queen Shark. Suddenly, a shocking giant wave like a pearl oyster spewed out, and then completely wrapped Hurley Bell like wings. After being baptized by the waves, a huge sword with shark gills cut through the waves, and at the same time, Hurley Bell returned to the blade. After returning to the blade, her entire face was exposed, and Arankar was only left on her neck and chest. Her figure looked even more proud under the few armors. Hurley Bell lifted the Zanpakuto, and the yellow Reiatsu converged again on the blade. Hands up and down. Tōshirō's shoulder was cut off directly, he looked hesitantly at the falling arm, and then turned his gaze to Hurley Bell. Nani? Captain Hitsugaya was instantly killed. Hira's pupils tightened, and she looked at Tōshirō very worriedly. Hinamori was also worried and couldn't bear to see this situation. Instantly killing the captain-level Shinigami, the horror of Hurley Bell is deeply imprinted in everyone's heart. Captain Hitsugaya, you really need to be more diligent. You are the one who suffers every time. You are the one who was turned into a zombie by the Quincy Master. You are the one who was tortured by Arankar. Gote 13 has lost all face. Kurotsuchi Mayuri grumbled coldly. From the perspective of others, I really think that the captains of Seraiti are all trash like Hitsugaya Tōshirō. Captain Nirvana is indeed right. I'm the one who dragged everyone down. Tōshirō said lonely, knowing in his heart that if he didn't use the ice avatar, he would surely die. They are all our own people, what's not to say, it's ugly, it's ugly. Jingle Chunshui quickly eased the awkward atmosphere. After all, he is also the 38th strongman. Is it normal to have some advantages in battle? In the video screen, Hurley Bell looked at Tōshirō, who had lost his arms and limbs, and said contemptuously, it's just an ice dragon, it can only sink to the bottom of the sea under the blow of a shark. Then she looked down at the three subordinates who were defeated, she was cold and cruel, I want to avenge the three of them. Although Hurley Bell is a truth, she is a truth who values love and righteousness. But at this moment, a surprise attack came suddenly. When Hurley Bell noticed it, he ran away, only to find that it was another intact Tōshirō. She was a little surprised, how could there be two Tōshirō? I didn't expect that once you were liberated, the speed and range would be so astonishingly improved. Fortunately, I kept an eye out. Tōshirō explained. He specially created an ice double, this trick can only be used once. As a last resort, he didn't want to use it, but just now it was already necessary. Tōshirō picked up Zanpakuto, his eyes regained the brilliance, don't miss our power. There are times when both sides underestimate each other, but now, they dare not underestimate the enemy anymore. Sure enough, the reputation is well deserved. It is worthy of the captain level. It still has the corresponding evasion ability. Hurley Bell was a little surprised, but that didn't mean he could get away with it. She started to erupt Reiatsu, and the whole false Karakura town shook, and this force made Tōshirō break out in a cold sweat. Just by waving Zanpakuto, a ferocious wave of water hits Tōshirō. Boom. The water waves hit the ground, and at the same time as the explosion, rain-like water droplets suddenly fell. What a powerful destructive force. Omaeda, who was fighting Baragan in the distance, was dumbfounded. My god, What kind of monster is this? Omeda outside the video showed the same expression as himself in the video. Just a flat A is equivalent to someone else's magnification. And this explosive Reiatsu is really exaggerated. Looking at your virtue, can you calm down a little bit? Sui Feng glared at Omeda angrily. He was also a vice captain anyway, as if he had never seen the world. It doesn't matter if I haven't seen the world, don't make the whole second team look like they haven't seen the world. Fortunately, it was used in time. Tōshirō broke into a cold sweat. Facing such an enemy was even more terrifying than facing Ulquiorra. If he hadn't used the virtual image of ice at that time, he might really have died. Awesome, Captain Hitsugaya still has such powerful moves. Jingle Chunshui said with a smile. In the subsequent power confrontation in the video, Hurley Bell completely dominated. She swung Zanpakuto again, and a waterspout like a tornado rushed towards Tōshirō. I've seen through that move of yours. Tōshirō held the hilt of Hiraemaru with both hands, and thrust forward fiercely. The moment the water wave touched the blade, it was frozen into ice and quickly spread towards Hurley Bell. Seeing that the ice was about to hit, Hurley Bell chopped it up with a knife. Don't underestimate me, you should be well aware that for me who owns Zanpakuto, all water is a weapon, even if the water is your weapon. Tōshirō has already noticed that the opponent's water can be used by him as a means of attack. In other words, Zanpakuto, his own ice attribute, perfectly restrains Hurley Bell's water attribute. In terms of Reiatsu strength, Tōshirō may not be the opponent of Hurley Bell, but in terms of attributes, the restraint is very obvious. And Hurley Bell can never hurt Tōshirō if he just manipulates the water. It will hurt, right away. Hurley Bell's charming voice came, and his expression became more dignified. If you want to see it, I'll let you see it. Do you think I will hit your aggressive method and take a melee attack? Tōshirō frowned slightly, as if he had guessed the opponent's tactical intentions. He looked at Hurley Bell's haughty look, and suddenly became angry. How many times have I said it? Don't underestimate me. Immediately he shook Zanpakuto, and an ice dragon roared out. It's you who underestimate people. Hurley Bell, still maintaining her appearance, just raised the Zanpakuto and pointed it at the circling ice dragon, scorching sea current. A white water vapor shield was instantly formed in front of the blade tip, and after the ice dragon collided with it, all of it melted into water. If my water will become your weapon, the moment you think this way, you should also think of the opposite possibility. Hurley Bell remained calm. This is the law of battle. The melted ice dragon did not fall down, but churned in midair, forming a vast waterspout. Hurley Bell held Zanpakuto aloft, swinging his arms and performing his strongest move. Broken Waterfall. Chapter 44. The strongest Bingshuishi, frozen sky and 100 flowers berry. Broken Waterfall. Hurley Bell drank it, and a monstrous waterspout instantly hit Tōshirō. Boom. The moment the water waves hit the ground, there was an extremely violent tremor. Soon, the surrounding land was completely submerged, as if it had become a sea area. All the houses collapsed, and the surrounding area was turned into ruins. And below, a lotus-like ice block resisted Tōshirō's body. Come out for me, don't try to fool my eyes easily. Hurley Bell has long discovered that Tōshirō made an ice wall to block the moment he released the broken waterfall. If you don't use this to parry, it will be miserable to be caught in the water waves. Tōshirō looked at the surrounding environment submerged by the waves, and frowned. Ordinary defense is hard to resist. What are you doing? Have you finally figured out the situation and are you afraid? Hurley Bell said. Tōshirō cut through the ice wall. His eyes were full of enthusiasm. Since the enemy's weapons can be used by oneself, the vice versa is also true. I think I understand. You should experience this ancient saying for yourself. The video played to this point, and Kurotsuchi Mayuri expressed his feelings. Captain Hitsugaya, you have the strongest Zanpakuto in the ice and snow department. Facing Hurley Bell, who mainly uses water to attack, you are under attribute suppression. Make good use of her water, you can definitely be in invincible position. It can be seen from the attack just now that although the destructive power of the broken waterfall is top-notch, it is not a problem at all for Tōshirō who can freeze water. Well, it does have an advantage in terms of attributes. Turning water into ice is far easier than turning water into water. However, the scale of Hurley Bell's move is too large. With my ability, it is impossible to combine it into ice. Tōshirō analyzed lightly, and he also had some confidence in victory in his heart. Fortunately, Captain Hitsugaya is an ice attribute Zanpakuto. If it were another attribute, he might have lost. Hinamori smiled at Tōshirō, thinking that if the attribute is superior, Xiaobai will definitely win. While Tōshirō smiled, his eyes averted slightly. The video shows Tōshirō using a flock of bird icicles, firing a large number of icicles at Hurley Bell. It doesn't matter which trick you play. Hurley Bell lifted the Zanpakuto, scorching sea current. A large amount of water vapor flow was generated, but in the next second these water vapor flows turned into ice cones. Tōshirō also appeared behind Hurley Bell, swinging a heavy knife. The blade slid across the air, creating an arc-shaped ice blade. Hurley Bell was frozen in the ice blade for an instant, but she escaped easily. This power is not enough to trap her. To thank you for your preaching, let me tell you one thing. While implementing the best tactics, it is also your greatest crisis. This is also the law of battle. Now it's Tōshiro's turn to preach to Hurley Bell. Interesting. Hurley Bell's expression didn't change, but she could feel her interest. Zan Shizuku. The outlet of Zanpakuto and the shark's gill lines produce water, which wraps around the blade, and immediately shoots the water like a cannonball at Tōshirō at high speed. Tōshirō dodged quickly, but he couldn't figure out what Hurley Bell was thinking. He didn't think Hurley Bell would make a random move, but it was really unlikely that this kind of move would hit him. Tōshirō was distracted briefly, and Hurley Bell had already come behind him. A yellow arrow pierced the sky, half of Tōshiro's ice wings were melted. It's no wonder that you fought so cautiously. After all, you and I are waiting for the same thing. In order to make a fatal blow, you are waiting for this battlefield to be filled with ice water. Tōshirō covered the ice wings with ice again. So what? It's nothing, it's just that I have to think about countermeasures. Tōshirō knew in his heart that it was not an option to have the same idea as Hurley Bell, but to break through the limit. His eyes turned hard, and dozens of icicles soaring into the sky immediately surrounded Hurley Bell. Taste the power of this trick, the Millennium Ice Prison. Boom. The icicles suddenly gathered to form a huge ice cube. But before the ice cube lasted for 3 seconds, it all cracked. Is this the best move you can pull? Hurley Bell's voice came from within. Since you've exhausted all your skills, it's my turn. Several waves of water gushed in, Hurley Bell held up the Zanpakuto, and the broken waterfall struck again. And this time the target is the injured Rangaku, Shuhei and others. Although there is Komamura Sajin guarding him, he has absolutely no way to deal with the broken waterfall. The dragon falls apart. Tōshirō charged at the waterspout, only to freeze the end into a block of ice. This kind of trick also wants to stop me. The amount of water in this battlefield is enough to kill you. This time, the broken waterfall is far from the one just now. Boom. The icicle continued to rise, but soon burst open. Tōshirō was already powerless and fell heavily to the ground. Video outside Seraiti. Everyone can see that the gap between Tōshirō and Hurley Bell is obvious. But in order to protect the vice captains, he still tried his best to resist Hurley Bell's broken waterfall. Even if he lost, it was a glorious defeat. I am the protected person. The corner of Shu Bing's mouth twitched. This made him lose face too much. Don't everyone save him once before it's over. It's your blessing that Hisagi was saved by so many people. One corner patted him on the shoulder. I trust Captain Hitsugaya. Komamura Sajin looked at Tōshirō lightly. The self in the video did not participate in the battle, on the one hand to protect the wounded, and on the other hand to give Tōshirō the dignity of fighting. I believe in Xiaobai too. Hinamori quickly echoed. In the video screen, our existence is based on sacrifice, but you let yourself lose your combat power in order to protect the fallen subordinates. My subordinates did not die in vain. She pointed out a way for me. If I fail, my subordinates will die in vain. Hurley Bell understood the determination of the victims. Tōshirō stood up. Of course I know about this kind of thing, although I am also seriously injured. I'm all bruised and bruised, I'm afraid I can't fight with all my heart. But because of this, we have to fight. Tōshirō clenched Zanpakuto tightly, closed his eyes, and a great amount of wind and snow roared up. The incomplete ice wings on his back immediately recovered, and his whole body exuded a bitter cold air. At this time, the entire sky was covered with dark clouds, and the weather seemed to be dominated. Tōshirō flew up again. My Hyarinmaru is the strongest in Hyoyuki, all water is my weapon, and the entire sky is under my control. A burial of frozen flowers. Chapter 45. Fear of holy words, Yamamoto said tongue twister angrily, seeking data. A burial of frozen flowers. Tōshirō held Hyarinmaru in both hands, and a fierce laser-like Reiatsu burst out from the blade in an instant, soaring straight into the sky. Reiatsu formed a Uzumaki to penetrate the dark clouds, and even pushed all the black clouds away. It was so dark just now, it immediately became extremely bright. Boom. In Uzumaki, white blizzards slowly fall down. Seeing this, Hurley Bell hurriedly used the broken waterfall to resist, and a large amount of water quickly slammed into blizzard. But the moment the water column touched the blizzard, it was frozen into ice cubes. The next moment, the icicles cracked and turned into countless icy slags that glistened in the sunlight, and slowly fell downwards. Hurley Bell wanted to continue using the scorching current, but just as he raised the Zanpakuto, the water splash suddenly turned into an ice flower and froze. At this moment, she understood that no matter how she made water, it would be turned into ice by Tōshirō. At the same time, Hurley Bell is like a seed, with countless ice flowers blooming on her body. This scene directly detonated the entire Shinigami world. Seraiti. Captain Hitsugaya, you still have a big move, so spectacular, so gorgeous. Shu Bing and the vice captains all stared at Tōshirō dumbfounded. The burial of frozen flowers changed the weather, and a large number of snowflakes fell. As long as there is water, it can be easily turned into ice, so it is difficult for Hurley Bell to use her abilities. They didn't expect that Tōshirō, who had been at a disadvantage all along, would suddenly turn from weakness to victory. The burial of ice and flowers, the moment Hurley Bell touched the ice flower, she was doomed to bear this fate. Tōshirō stared blankly. As he said, he never released this move in Bankai State. There are certain risks involved, but the results seem to be good. It's a very artistic move, Captain. Rangaku looked at the ice flowers everywhere and smiled sweetly. The scene is shocking but beautiful at the same time. This is the real strength of Captain Hitsugaya. Facing Zanpakuto, the strongest ice and snow element, Heli Bell did not lose. Omeda said Hihi, the captain of Seraiti defeated Arankar in the leaderboard, and his morale increased greatly. Void Knight Palace. Harry Bell, can you beat a captain like Hitsugaya Tōshirō? It's ridiculous to be ranked ahead of Ulquiorra. Baragan glanced at Holly Bell contemptuously. I think it's better to switch the ranks of you and Ulquiorra slowly, and change the order by the way. Holly Bell glared at Baragan fiercely, and the two were at odds. Before becoming Arankar, there was a grievance between the two. Although after becoming Arankar, Aizen restrained them and gave them a chance to live in the same room, but Holly Bell didn't want to talk to him. Miss Holly Bell's abilities have been completely restrained, you can't even use them. Apache spoke for Holly Bell. What she said is also true. In terms of strength and speed, Holly Bell is indeed superior. But Tōshirō's burial of frozen flowers had unexpected effects. It can only be your bad luck. Even the captain can't lose in seconds. Lord Aizen won't let you go. Zael Aporo blinked and raised his eyebrows, pretending that if Holly Bell died, he would be able to replace the 3 blades. Look. Holly Bell ignored them and sat quietly watching the video. In the picture, Holly Bell's body is still blooming. Not only that, but the ice flowers that just fell on the ground also bloomed, piled up and formed an ice column, completely freezing Holly Bell in it. A burial of hundreds of flowers in the icy sky, anyone who touches the snow will instantly freeze into ice flowers, and when the 100 ice flowers finish blooming, it will be the time of your demise. Tōshirō winked, looked at the frozen Heli Bell, and turned around. I'm sorry, you can only carry the hatred of your subordinates and die with hatred. The video playback ends here. Captain Hitsugaya is so good that he even defeated Arankar, who is ranked 38. Renji in the present world was a little surprised. He originally thought that Tōshirō's strength was in the middle and lower reaches among the captains, far inferior to Byakuya Kuchiki, but now it seems that he completely underestimated Tōshirō. Being frozen, you shouldn't die, but Hitsugaya Tōshirō's victory is a certainty. This time, Shinigami will get back 1 point. Kurosaki Ichigo nodded with great interest. I thought to myself that Tōshirō, that short man, has such a powerful force in his body. The throne of the Void Knight Palace. Aizen's face was not that pretty. Oh, it's useless. He shook his head, you lost to Tōshirō, Harriet Bell. Restraint in attributes is inevitable, but even with restraint in attributes, as a 3-blade, you haven't even beaten a captain of Tōshirō's level, so what's the use of you? If it is really on the battlefield, Aizen must be the first to kill her. The 37th place in the combat power list, Ace Knot. Name. Ace Knot. Force. Invisible Empire. Identity. Destroyer. Ability. Holy Text F. Fear. Attack. 87. Defense. 87. Speed. 84. Intelligence. 86. Vitality. 87. Reiatsu. 85. Combat power. 550,000. The 37th place on the combat power list has been displayed on the big screen. The Destroyer of the Invisible Empire. After 2 Arankars, Quincy reappeared on the list. The Invisible Empire, the Ice Palace. Ace Knot, who was wearing a nail mask, had dead eyes. After seeing his name, his expression didn't change at all. Gives people a feeling that he is the devil. That ghost thing is actually in front of the few of us. It's really blind. Litoto spoke to several members of the female knights in a low voice. Ace's holy text ability is fear, and he is always elusive. Lee Toto and the others don't like him at all. Ace heard the conversation of several people, and turned his eyes very stiffly, which immediately made them shudder. Although they had no fear, they still had resistance in their hearts. Seraiti, a team house. It's time for the Quincy again. After the Quincy's turn, it's Arankar. After Arankar's turn, it's the Quincy. This time, it's time for Arankar again. These brats, when will they give me some face? Yamamoto Motoyanagi was so angry that he almost said a tongue twister. Chapter 46. Sister-in-law, Byakuya's inner fear. At this time, the big screen has started to play the video. Abarai Renji is fighting Ace Knot, but the battle is one-sided. Every attack of Shikai's Zabumeru was blocked by the spirit blood that appeared on Ace's skin, and there was no way to hurt him at all. What's the matter? A similar coat of arms appears at the moment of defense. I will try to increase the attack speed. Renji frowned, and when he was about to attack, another member of the Star-Cross Knights, Masco Dumascalan, made a surprise attack. At the critical moment, countless Sakura petals stood in front of Renji, and at the same time prevented Masco's attack. No need to test, Renji. Byakuya Kuchiki's voice sounded, and he walked slowly. These people intend to bloodbath the Soul Society, they are absolute enemies. Just kill them with all your strength. Seraiti. Ace Knot's opponent turned out to be my elder brother, what a disaster for him. Rukia Kuchiki looked up at Byakuya Kuchiki. Byakuya Kuchiki's expression did not change, and he said lightly, "Don't underestimate the enemy. Is that masked man also the Quincy of the Invisible Empire? Why does he feel that his brain is not working well?" Omeda said with a big laugh. "Just by looking at Masko's outfit, you can tell that he is definitely very smart. The Quincy is really weird, there are all kinds of people, Ace not looks like a ghost, it's really disgusting." Rangaku grinned and said, "I found out, the more disgusting the Quincy, it represents there the more pervert your ability is. Peppa the greasy pig, Giselle in cross-dressing, Nyanzo Waso with 2 tongues, and now there's not Ace, who looks like a ghost. Maybe this is a tough battle, Captain Kuchiki." Jingle Chunshui stroked the bamboo hat and said. In the video screen, Byakuya Kuchiki didn't believe that Quincy was invulnerable, so he immediately controlled Senbon Sakura to attack Ace. Swish. Ace's arm was instantly slashed with more than a dozen cuts. "What are you doing?" Ma Si could see Ace's appearance, and hurried over to check the situation. "You better not move either." As Byakuya said, the blades of countless Sakura petals cut down, directly smashing the ground under Masko's feet, and he fell down immediately. Now only Ace is left, 2 against 1. Swish. Suddenly, a spiritual light cone emerged from Ace's body and shot towards Byakuya Kuchiki. Byakuya's petal blade easily shattered the cone of light, and he held the handle. Scatter. Senbon Sakura. Countless blades emitting red rays surrounded Ace like a tornado. Unexpectedly, Ace's whole body was covered in blood clothes, and the blade that attacked him was also bounced away. At this time, Renji wrapped Zabumaru around Ace's body, and Senbon Sakura's countless blades poured out, washing Ace's head. This was originally a very tacit and perfect cooperation. But in the next second, the 4 eyes of Renji and Byakuya shook. Ace's face and even his eyeballs were covered in blood, Senbon Sakura's blades were all bounced off. Everyone was stunned. The look of Byakuya Kuchiki outside the video also became a little dignified. Ace's static blood suit can even defend against his indiscriminate Senbon Sakura attack, which is obviously beyond his knowledge. Although there is no Bankai, Senbon Sakura after Shikai is still very powerful. For Quincy, it's even worse than scratching an itch. What a monster. Captain Kuchiki's attack didn't work at all. Shu Bing's pupils tightened, and he looked at the captains around him in surprise. None of the Quincy divisions that appeared before had such an efficient defense. No wonder Ace's defense can reach 87, and ordinary attacks can't do damage to him at all. The captain's Shikai can't hurt him, our vice captain. Rangaku swallowed, with a look of horror on his face. If their vice captain faced Ace not, they would be unable to attack and defend. Even Ace didn't take any damage, they were instantly killed. I don't know if I can stand it. Kenpachi sneered, the stronger the opponent, the more interesting it is. In the picture, Ace can create spiritual light cones without limit. Seeing this, Byakuya knew that there was no way to beat Ace without using Bankai. Renji on the side wants to stop it, because the information given by the deputy captain Sasaki is that the other party can seal Bankai. Obviously they don't know the real intelligence yet. I know, but these people are the enemies of Vice Captain Sasaki. They are despicable people who let Saraide's blood flow into rivers without warning. They are definitely not opponents that can be defeated without Bankai. Then finding a way to break the seal is the decision. The key to success. Byakuya told Renji to use his Bankai to defeat the Quincy if his Bankai was sealed. Instantly, he liberates Senbon Sakura. Bankai, Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi. The moment countless blades scattered into Sakura petals, Ace took out the star and absorbed all the petals directly. No, it's not a seal, Bankai was taken away. Byakuya looked terrified and a little overwhelmed. Byakuya, who lost Bankai, was wounded by Ace's attack. But at this time he felt a feeling of cold hands and feet. Are those light thorns poisonous? I noticed it, are you wondering if it's poisonous? Ace looked at the bewildered Byakuya and made an extremely creepy voice. Wrong guess, this must be something you lost a long time ago, try to recall it. Become the captain, become stronger day by day, and crush the enemy with absolute strength. I must have forgotten this feeling. The most important feeling for a person to live is fear. Ace's voice seemed to bring Byakuya into a void, and it echoed in his ears repeatedly. Byakuya's pupils shrunk, holding Senbon Sakura in both hands, standing there in a daze. The captain actually has fear. Renji was incredulous when he saw the cold sweat. Ace explained. Those who are shot by my arrows, everything will turn into fear. When you hold the knife, draw the knife, raise the knife, swing the knife down, or move your fingers, look away, or even just inhaling and exhaling, it seems that there will be fear of life. I will be suspicious of everything, and I can't even think. But it's surprising that you can endure until now with your willpower, and it's only limited to the fact that surprise is far from fear. Your heart is already shrouded in fear of me. As Ace said, Byakuya swung his knife over. A lot of nonsense, how can there be no fear in the battle? I accept the fear in the battle, subdue it, and turn it into the strength to move forward. Byakuya thought about Rukia's appearance. But suddenly, Rukia who was smiling at him turned into a bloody mess. Chapter 47, Thousands of Flies, Kenpachi's Ruthless Mockery. When Byakuya said this, he was already in a state of fear. When he reacted, he suddenly felt a stabbing pain in his chest. Ace's attack had pierced Byakuya's chest. Thinking that fear can be overcome by experience, the more experienced and powerful the more this illusion will be. Reasonable fear is not terrible. As long as there is a reason, eradicating its source can get rid of the feeling similar to fear. Quote. But there is no reason for real fear, because it is not emotion, but instinct. True fear is unreasonable, endless, and arises spontaneously from the bottom of my heart, like countless flying insects crawling all over my body. As Ace said, Byakuya could already feel the flies crawling all over his body. Every part of the clothes, every inch of my skin was covered by flies. This picture is really scary and disgusting. Is this the fear in Captain Kuchiki's heart? The picture is so cruel. Komamura Sajin said with a frown. Countless flies crawling all over his body, this feeling is uncomfortable. Also like fear, everywhere. Oh, Byakuya Kuchiki, are you so fragile? Senbon Sakura has become 1,000 flies. Zaraki Kenpachi sneered unhappily. Although I feel that Byakuya Kuchiki is vulnerable, Ace's fear seems to be really not that easy to deal with. Yachinryu tugged at Kenpachi's sleeve and said, Ajien, the attack method of this Quincy is a mental attack. Bai-jun will definitely not be able to withstand that guy's mental attack. Kenpachi crossed his arms and continued, I have no fear in my heart. Even if I am attacked by Ace Not, I will not become as vulnerable as him. Jingle Chunshui stood up to smooth things over. That's not necessarily the case. The Quincy said just now that he can turn everything into fear. Kenpachi, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to escape. He is telling the truth. Ace has this weird ability of holy words. Even more outrageous than Peep's love. Byakuya can also use willpower to disable Peep's love kiss directly, thereby getting out of control. But the fear created by Ace directly affected Byakuya's body. This allowed him to easily injure Byakuya. It is conceivable that even with Bankai, in the case of being hit first by Ace, the chances of winning are very small. In the video screen. This is hallucination. Ah, Byakuya Kuchiki roared, and while trying to stay awake, he slashed at Ace continuously. But at this moment, Ace took out the star. The stolen Bankai Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi is released. The 2 rows of blades turned into purple sakura petals and stabbed at Byakuya Kuchiki. Kai. Blood sprayed out in an instant, and Byakuya was already covered in cuts and bruises. How can you defeat your own Bankai in Shikai form? Ace walked up to Byakuya and said lightly. You shameless, unworthy of Senbon Sakura. Renji tried to attack, but to no avail. Ace continued to use Senbon Sakura to charge Byakuya Kuchiki, and the endless blade directly smashed it into the side wall, and the injury was aggravated again. Don't. Bankai. Renji can no longer accept Byakuya's continued injury, regardless of whether the opponent can absorb Bankai, he is released directly. But suddenly, a black shadow shuttled over. Musko kicked Renji in the face with both legs, sending him flying. Idiot, it's hard to wait until he wants Bankai, and he can take it away immediately. Seeing Musk's reckless behavior, Ace complained. Hearing this, Marcus was shocked. Nani, Bankai is not only the captain's ability. Go back and read the information His Majesty gave you again. Ace was speechless. Open black lens bracket Ace Not vs Byakuya Kuchiki, win. Close black lens bracket. The video stops and a string of text is suddenly displayed. The originally tense atmosphere was completely destroyed by Masko's appearance. Seraiti. Captain Kuchiki was defeated. I was very sad, but seeing that bull warrior came out, I laughed so hard. Omeda burst into laughter, tears and snot coming out of his nose. Don't blame him. After all, Masko's behavior is really funny. Ace was ready to absorb Renji's Bankai, and he came out to stop it. Fortunately, Neo Warrior came on the stage in time, otherwise the Bankai of Aburai's vice captain will also be lost. Kira's eyes tightened. Now we already know that Bankai of Captain Komamura and Captain Kuchiki has been taken away, and Ace Not can use it very skillfully. Out. Clearly, the loss of Bankai not only weakened the Shinigami, but also strengthened the Quincy. Brother, you. Of the many people present, Rukia was most concerned about Byakuya Kuchiki's situation. Because of the successive waves of attacks by Senbon Sakura and put it on other people, they are probably already dead. And Byakuya Kuchiki not only endured physical injuries, but also was injured by his own Bankai. This kind of psychological burden is not something ordinary people can bear. Is there such a big difference in strength? Byakuya spoke softly, knowing that even with Bankai, the opponent is not so easy to defeat. He hated himself for being too weak, but he couldn't change anything. It's not that Captain Kuchiki is weak, it's because your Bankai was taken away. Shuhei comforted. Rukia immediately said. Yes, my lord, as long as we find a way to take back Bankai, we can defeat the Quincy. The Invisible Empire, the Ice Palace. Ha ha ha, Marcus, you're killing me. Bambietta laughed loudly. Obviously able to take away one more Bankai, but he kicked others away. I guess I can't even find anyone there. Musk scratched the red headgear with the 5-pointed star awkwardly. I don't know, those who don't know are innocent. Ace glanced at Musk, Shinigami's Bankai is quite useful. Bumby, if you take that dog's Bankai away, maybe it can be useful. Bambi nodded. That's for sure, the Bankai of the big dog is definitely better than the one with the zombie face. Chapter 48, Komamura Sajin on the list, Shinigami's White Moonlight. The 36th place in the combat power list, Komamura Sajin. Name, Komamura Sajin. Faction, Gotei 13. Identity, Shinigami. Ability, Bankai. Attack, 87. Defense, 90. Speed, 83. Intelligence, 85. Vitality, 88. Reiatsu, 85. Kido, 80. Combat power, 600,000. As the battle of the Quincy Master Ace Knot was played, the information of the 36th place was displayed on the big screen. Komamura Sajin, the first elected Shinigami. Hiroko Shinji doesn't count. Captain Komamura, our captain is really on the list. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this moment, the 36th, finally here. Ahem, it's not easy for a Shinigami to be on the list. When wood expulsion is listed, it's always at the front. Quote. The Shinigami soldiers finally ushered in their savior. It's just that they didn't realize that this savior is Komamura Sajin. Captain Komamura, you are ranked 36th, that's amazing. Shubing and Kira's deputy captain stared at Komamura Sajin's big dog head with radiant eyes. You know, in the previous video, Komamura Sajin lost to Bambietta. Not only that, even Bankai was taken away. It stands to reason that he should not be as powerful as Bambi Aida. But the ranking is actually 36. Our Seraiti finally has someone on the list, I think the captain will be happy. Jingle Chunshui came over and patted Komamura Sajin on the shoulder. Komamura Sajin is not simply on the list this time, but gave the whole Seraiti a face. Komamura Sajin nodded. Although he was a little surprised in his heart, he could probably guess it. If it is only based on the current strength, it is too reluctant to rank 36th, it is definitely because of the humanization technique. The ancestral secret technique of their werewolf clan. The captain's defense power is as high as 90. The last time the defense power of 90 was the holy text ability W, it was twists and turns. Shooting Field adjusted his sunglasses, and white light flashed across the lenses. His own captain is on the list, and as the vice captain of Team 7, he also has more face. Captain Komamura's Bankai, the black rope god Scourge is indeed very powerful, and it's normal to have a higher defense. Jashiro smiled lightly, and Komamura Sajin's attack power is also very strong, the only shortcoming is that he is not very flexible. It's easy to get people walking their dogs. Shu Yagong, Tusen Kanami felt the picture in the video, with the light side of his forehead. Komamura is on the list. Once the closest companion, his own betrayal caused the two to part ways. Tusen has no guilt in his heart, and even has high expectations for Aizen. At this point, the screen has started to play on the big screen. Karakura Town Battlefield. Komamura Sajin and Shuhei confront Tusen Kanami. Master Aizen is here, which means that it's time for me to use my real strength against you. Tusen said. Bankai, just what I want. Komamura's eyes lit up, just in time to experience Tusen Kanami's Bankai. But Tusen Kanami sneered. Bankai, ridiculous, Master Aizen has granted me power far superior to that of Bankai. Tusen Kanami said, putting his hands on his face, an evil burst out instantly, and was absorbed by his face. Tusen, you. Seeing this, Komamura Sajin didn't know what to do, but he could feel it, this is not Bankai. Stop it, Tusen. He tried to stop Tusen Kanami, but it was too late. Like a gushing bubble, the purple Reiatsu covered Tusen Kanami's body and formed a violent tornado around him. Have you fallen so far, Tusen? Komamura didn't give up, trying to wake him up, but it didn't work. Tusen Kanami turned a deaf ear. As the hurricane disappeared, Shu's soul had been injected into his body, and his body shape had also changed. The white mask covered his entire face, except for a slit in the middle. Moreover, the whole province exudes an aura of hypocrisy. Seeing this appearance of Tusen Kanami, the captains of Seraiti all sighed. Tusen is really depraved, and even took the initiative to accept Aizen's hollow. Sui Feng frowned, his face full of disgust. Although there are many Shinigami that can hollow, such as Vizard. Even human Kurosaki Ichigo can hollow. But they are different in nature from Tusen Kanami, who is a traitor and has taken the initiative to accept this dirty power. Captain Tusen. Shu Bing looked hesitant, he couldn't believe that Tusen Kanami had acquired the power of hollow. Is this the same person as the Captain Tusen he knew? Traitor, you are still so arrogant, in my opinion, he should be hacked to death. Kenpachi's fighting spirit came up, he couldn't help touching Nozarashi on his waist, and looked at Komamura Sajin. Captain Komamura, you have a very good relationship with that traitor, I hope you don't let it go. Komamura Sajin stared, I'm sure I won't release water, and I want Tusen to tell me why he did it. In the video, Tusen Kanami behind Hollow came to Shu Bing in an instant, and cut off the wind death behind Shikai with one claw. Even Shu Bing's chest was cut. Hisagi. Komamura Sajin looked at the falling Shuhei and was instantly furious. Damn, Shikai Zanpakuto, holding a 40-meter-long sword in a huge arm, appeared behind Komamura and manipulated it as he moved. He swung his sword at Tōshirō. Tōshirō raised the knife unhurriedly, blocked the huge blade with great ease, and immediately raised it, destroying Shikai at the same time, turned around and kicked, and Komamura flew out. In terms of strength and speed, Tōshirō leads too much. It's so strange, your fellow half-Shinigami boy should and will always have this ability, why should I be despised by you when I get this power? Tōshirō was puzzled. Komamura Sajin glared at Tōshirō fiercely. Kurosaki Ichigo didn't hollow voluntarily, but you are different. You are already powerful as a Shinigami, but you set foot on this road by yourself. You are willing to degenerate. Tōshirō. Chapter 49 Suzumushi 100 Styles, Kwanga Cricket. Are you willing to fall? Tōshirō's face was covered by a mask, and the change in his expression could not be seen. From Shinigami to Void, how did you fall? He has no regrets in becoming Shu, and is even proud of it. Dualism in a narrow sense will divide Shinigami and virtuality into good and evil. In a sense, Tōshirō is right, the pursuit of power is indeed right, but how can he explain his treachery? You are wrong, for the sake of strength, you will betray your friends and rebel against the enemy, that is degeneration. Komamura Sajin shouted at Tōshirō. Just then, a chain snapped at Tōshirō's neck, dragging him down. Shu Bing held Feng Shi in his hand and strangled Tōshirō's neck, his expression was very solemn. The shot wasn't ruthless, I was too naive. Tōshirō's blow just now did not defeat Shu Bing, which was obviously beyond his expectation. No, I took a step back reflexively. Shu Bing endured the pain of the wound, and continued, when you stand with your sword drawn, you must be able to step back at any time. Captain Tōshirō, this is what you taught me, Captain Tōshirō, because of you. Ever then you, why are you pursuing power at all costs now? What fear do you have in your heart now? Kai, what is fear? Tōshirō's Zanpakuto pierced Shuhei's abdomen and kicked him off the roof. Sui Feng outside the video scolded angrily. This Tōshirō is so brutish that he can even kill the companions he gets along with day and night. I was really blind before and didn't see his hypocrisy. Omeda also echoed. The captain is right, why didn't I find Tōshirō before? It turned out to be such a person, Aizen is really harmful. Hisagi, don't be sad, Tōshirō is not worthy to be your captain. Kira patted Shuhei's shoulder whose face had frozen. I hope he can see a little more. In terms of the worship relationship between the captain and the vice captain, Shubing and Tōshirō are definitely top-notch. Seeing the appearance of Tōshirō in the video, Shubing suffered the most in his heart. I don't know why Captain Tōshirō did this, but as the vice captain of Gote 13 Team 9, I will definitely protect Seraiti. Shu Bing frowned tightly, his eyes full of determination. In the video screen, of course there are fears. My fear should have died with you Shinigami 100 years ago. Tōshirō said flatly. Bankai. The black rope god Wrath King Ming. Komamura Sajin had already used Bankai, and the huge black armored warrior covered with a red cloth stood up like Susanoo. Tōshirō, the old man will wake you up no matter what. Komamura roared. I'm so stupid, seeing my current strength, do you think Bankai can beat me? Tōshirō held the knife in both hands and put on a parrying posture. It's just Bankai, he's saying the exact same thing as Espada now. Don't compare me to Espada, I am far above them, and of course, above you Shinigami. Tōshirō even got lost, thinking that his ability surpassed Espada. As far as Baragan's aging abilities, and Stark the Wolves, what was he going to do with those two guys? You Shinigami, have you even forgotten that you were once a Shinigami? Komamura Sajin swung his knife away, followed by King Ming Ming. The 40-meter broadsword swept across half of the sky, but Tōshirō easily dodged it. Naively, how could I not know about your Bankai abilities? Tōshirō sneered. In terms of destructive power, there are indeed only a handful of Kings of Scourge, but Tōshirō is clearly superior in speed. Invisible Empire. The big dog is so weak, it can't even defeat Shendu, a traitor. Hey, how did he get on the list? Bambiata shook his head helplessly, his face was full of disappointment. You know, Komamura Sajin is ahead of her, and looking at it now, the performance is too poor. Any Quincy from the Star-Crossed Knights can hang him. Moreover, the Black Rope Heavenly Scourge King Ming, the Bankai, is really tasteless. Shikai is an arm and a huge Zanpakuto, and there is nothing special about it. The lethality is also average. After Bankai, the strength has been improved, but the speed is ridiculously slow. It is ranked 36th, which is really an insult to us. Ah. Litoto also said dissatisfied. Giselle was even more disgusted and said, at first I wanted to make the dog Bankai into a zombie, but now I have no interest at all. Komamura Sajin of Seraiti has no idea that he is now being taunted mercilessly by the Quincy of the Invisible Empire. However, the ending of not being able to defeat Tōshirō has already been settled in his heart. In the picture, Komamura Sajin looked at Tōshirō. You said, my mere Bankai can't beat you, right? So what? But in terms of strength, there is a gap between an adult and a baby between King Tien Scourge and you. I advise you to catch him without a fight. Adults and children, your arrogance is sympathetic. Tōshirō Konami is not convinced, he wants to destroy the arrogance of Komamura Sajin. As he increased his speed, he slashed continuously, injuring King Ming of Heaven's Scourge. Ming Wang and Komamura Sajin act in the same way. If you hurt King Ming, you can hurt Komamura Sajin. Tōshirō's goal is very clear. Although Tōshirō was also punched by King Ming, and his whole arm was twisted and deformed, he was able to high-speed regeneration. You say that I am willing to degenerate, so let me ask you, joining the organization for revenge, but complacently forgetting the original intention and flattering the organization, isn't it depraved? Tōshirō asked Komamura Sajin. In my blind eyes, this kind of person is even more depraved. As he spoke, Tōshirō's mask began to crack, and his attack left Komamura Sajin covered in bruises. The black rope heavenly scourge King Ming also fell to his knees. What is justice? Letting go of the murderer is of course doing good deeds and accumulating virtue, even being kind to the point of being unsightly. Is it justice if you do kindness? Wrong. The other party died wronged, but you are idly living, what a crime. Tōshirō growled at Komamura. Understood. Komamura Sajin raised Zanpakuto. This old man misunderstood your original intention. If the words just now came from the heart, then you and I are doomed to be at odds. If we don't agree with each other, it's useless to talk more. For the sake of the Soul Society, you must die. Although I can't bear it, it is enough to listen to your true intentions. The old man has already forgiven you in his heart. Already forgive me, Tōshirō said indifferently. Don't be so eloquent, Komamura, whoever asks you to forgive, if you want to kill, you have to obey. He roared furiously. The premise is that after you witness my return to the sword, you can still speak such nonsense. Holding Zanpakuto upside down, Tōshirō performs returning edge. Suzumushi Hyakushi, Kuga Cricket. Chapter 50. Defeated and embarrassing. I'm here for revenge. Seeking data. Suzumushi Hyakushi, Kuga Cricket. An evil breath erupted from Tōshirō Konami's body in an instant, like endless black ink, dyeing the whole world black. Tōshirō Konami has soaked in that evil black Reiatsu, the body is constantly evolving. Soon, the black Reiatsu converges into spooky limbs, bones, and even wings. And his whole body has turned into a big black insect like a fly. Slowly opened the round eyes shaped like flies, the two pupils were like orange petals, revealing endless evil. I see you, Komamura. Even the voice became weird and sharp. Tōshirō Konami grinned, and the whole body of the bug lifted up, and he said excitedly, I saw it, I can see it. This is the sky, this is the earth, is this the world, and, is this you, Komamura, uglier than I thought. Tōshirō Konami stared at Komamura Sajin with strange eyes. Komamura Sajin's furrowed brows remained unrelenting, and it was difficult for him to accept Tōshirō Konami's ghostly appearance. Not to mention him, the captains outside the video couldn't accept it either. Tōshirō, you have turned into this appearance, you have completely lost Shinigami's appearance, and become like a monster. Jashiro tightened his eyes. This has completely lost all human characteristics and turned into a complete monster. This is the return of the Arankars, returning to the most primitive appearance. Tōshirō, is your heart so ugly? Komamura Sajin's face was very dark. If he knew that Tōshirō Konami was such a person, he would have killed him long ago. Also, the original beliefs of the two are different. It's just that Komamura misunderstood self-righteously, and mistakenly thought that the two were of the same kind. It's so disgusting that it turned into a monster, what a disgrace to Gote 13. Sui Feng cursed bitterly. Big mosquito, ha ha ha, the appearance of Tōshirō Konami returning to the blade is simply too funny, but that thing seems to have gained sight. Kenpachi curled his lips, and Tōshirō Konami in the video kept saying that he saw it. He also scolded Komamura Sajin for being ugly, but if he saw his own appearance, he probably would know what it means to be really ugly. Is this why you seek power, Tōshirō? Komamura Sajin looked gloomy. Kurotsuchi Mayuri said. Given the vision, but still can't tell the difference between black and white, Tōshirō Konami's cognition ends here. Void Night Palace. Tōshirō Konami couldn't help feeling a little apprehensive looking at the way he was returning to the blade. Although he gained the returning blade ability granted to him by Aizen, he was never freed. Now, after seeing Gui Ren turned into a big mosquito in the video, this ugly scene really shocked him. But the power that Gui Ren bestowed on him is very strong, so why not look ugly? Espada and others are very disdainful of Tōshirō Konami's changes. Especially the front four blades. Gui Ren has turned into a big mosquito, and he also said that his strength is not comparable to that of Espada. Turning into a mosquito means losing your head, right? In the video screen, Tōshirō Konami and Komamura Sajin wrestled together, but after returning to the blade, his speed and strength improved significantly. What's the matter, Komamura, why didn't you attack? Tōshirō Konami spread his black paws, smug. As the old man ugly? Komamura Sajin asked. I remember that you don't even want to look at your own face. Are you unhappy that this comes out of my mouth? That's not the case. I think it's sad. Now you are more blind than before. Komamura Sajin should let Tōshirō Konami P***s on himself. How dare you say that I'm more blind than before, what a joke. This sentence completely angered Tōshirō Konami, and he rushed over. While typing, He said, then what did you see? What did you see that I couldn't see? Answer me, Komamura. The continuous attack made Komamura consume a lot of energy, and he was panting for breath. Don't you see better than me? Tusen Konami mocked. Tusen, this old man really doesn't want to face you with a sword, but if you are really blind, this old man will do justice for the heavens and bring you to justice. Komamura's, you are blinder than before, does not refer to whether Tusen Konami can see the light of day, but refers to his previous blindness and vision. When did you turn a blind eye to the world in front of you? Shut up. Tusen Konami glided and charged, and Komamura parried with his sword. The two forces collided with each other, triggering all kinds of thunder. Ah, Komamura Sajin roared, increased his strength, and he was absolutely worthy of strength. Boom. As soon as the knife fell, Tusen Konami was directly blasted to the ground and fell into the deep pit. You can indeed see the appearance of the old man now, but you can't see the more important essence, that is, the heart. Komamura looked at the fallen Tusen, closed his eyes slowly, and turned away. You mean it? Tusen stood up suddenly and slapped Komamura away in a sneak attack. Heart? What heart? Can you see it? My heart. The ruthless roar increased Tusen's strength, and he broke Komamura's Zanpakuto with one hand. 9 phases killing each other. The green sound wave of Reiatsu suddenly attacked the heavenly scourge King Ming. The great power caused King Ming to be knocked down along with Komamura. The video playback stops here suddenly. Komamura Sajin vs Tusen Konami, defeated. Close black lens bracket. Seraiti. It can be seen that Captain Komamura did not attack Tusen Konami ruthlessly, and he has no intention of fighting at all. Zaraki Kenpachi gave Komamura Sajin a hard look. In his view, fighting without the will to fight is all hooliganism. Or, it can't be called fighting at all. Shooting Field said. Captain, you don't need to hold back at all. Komamura Sajin's dog eyes are wide open, and he values his relationship with Tusen Konami very much. Even though he wanted to hack Tusen Konami to death in his heart, he really couldn't do it when he actually fought. Sui Feng complained directly. Captain Komamura, in terms of this slash, it ranks 36th, which is too ugly. At this time, the screen changed. Bombietta wounded Hiroko Shinji with a spiritual bullet, and complained, this kind of trick is really old-fashioned. Even if you can't tell the difference between up, down, left, and right, it's fine if you destroy all directions together. Use my explosion. Violent rain. Bumby spread out the wings of the Eucharist and launched endless spiritual light bombs, trying to kill Hiroko Shinji. But at this moment, a huge masked figure stopped in front of Hiroko and blocked all the spirit bullets. Komamura Sajin, come for revenge.